Welcome to session number one of the Advanced Real Estate Investing, I call via Subject 2, because I love this subject. Subject 2 is a great opportunity and strategy to acquire properties, homes, and even land without using truly your credit, because you're not going to sign for a loan with a bank, and you're not going to use your credit or your credit score at all, period. And you shouldn't. Some people do, but you don't have to do it. And that's how we do it. We don't advocate that. All right. Now, listen, in most cases, and almost every case, if you do it the way we show you how, you will not even use any of your money. Okay. Not even any of your cash. Oh, got to let somebody else in. A lot of people join late. That's what happens. You know how we do. CP time. All right. So now I want to open the floor for some questions. Now, this is a Q&A session. This session is designed for you to ask whatever questions you have about this strategy, subject to anything you've heard on the internet, heard on YouTube, heard with your friends, your family, investors, anything you heard, any questions you got, any doubts, any concerns, whatever. This is the opportunity to ask these questions. This is a breakout subject to Q&A session. Okay, so it shouldn't be long. I do the first session like this on purpose so we can get all this stuff out, opened into the ear, all the theory, all that kind of stuff. And then the following sessions, we start getting to the meat of things. So the session after this, we're going to talk a little bit about marketing because it's very important. All right. You could know this strategy all day long. You could have the documents and everything and know it down pat, the verbiage, good with people. But if you don't have properties and people giving you properties, you're not going to make any money. So we want to connect that too. So we don't leave you stranded there. All right, folks. So with that said, I'm going to open up the floor. I think Tila had a question first, so I'm going to allow her to go ahead and ask her question or make her comment. Go ahead, Tila. How you doing this today?
Hello, I'm doing pretty good. I hope everybody else is doing amazing.
Mhm.
So yes, my question is I did get like a text saying that we could receive a certificate if we take a test and pass it regarding the subject too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you will get a certificate if you choose to take the test. Now, the thing about it, we have quite a few people who've been with us for a while who participate in the live sessions, and we have some people for work reasons or domestic, whatever, can't do it or won't do it. The thing is, if you take the test, it's and you don't participate, I believe that it'll be a little bit difficult to get that certificate. Okay. Now we're going to give you a certificate, whether you pass or not. Okay. But we're going to give you something anyway. However, and when we give you the test is for you. It's for you to know where you are at in this strategy. Okay. It's for you to know where you're at. And also, we're taking steps here to become an accredited school. Okay. So we'll be taking on a lot of students. We have good facilities behind us here. We have nice rooms, everything. We can do all that. So again, those of you who are local will have the opportunity to even come into the classrooms and do that kind of stuff once we get officially set up for that. So to answer your question, yes, ma'am. At the end of the course, okay, the course is 1 to 14 sessions, sometimes 1 to 15, 1 to 16 sessions, because sometimes we have to reschedule because of weather, domestic, a few things happen, holidays, whatever the case may be. So there may be extra 2 or 3 sessions in there. At the end of the sessions, folks, you'll be given a test, okay? And the test is for you to know where you are at in this strategy. And if you need to take the course again, you will be invited to do it at no charge. As long as you have paid for the course already, you can take the course again at no charge. So this year, this session we're doing now, 1 to 14, starting today, will be the last one for the year. That's why I tell people this is your final opportunity to brush up, to get down, to make it happen, to learn this thing, and let's do it. Now, we're going to probably have a next session, maybe in January or February. We're not sure what month or the time is going to be. But we will let you know. And those of you who are participating in this one, welcome to get into that one for free at no additional charge. All right. So I hope I answered your question. You will get a certificate that you can probably hang on your wall and say you've taken this and whatnot. And you'll see it's a great education. We teach you a lot of things here. Okay. We teach you about how to put your property in a trust. That's right, a land trust. Most people don't know how to do that. All right. So you're going to learn how to hold your property in a trust, right? Acquire it and even sell it in a trust. Beneficial stuff. So good stuff here. Thank you for that, Tila. Is that any other thing you have to, any other question you have beside that one?
For the test, do we have to pay to take it?
No, ma'am. You do not have to pay to take it. It's going to be free. And the test will be given at the end of the sessions. Okay. And
All right.
also, yeah, that's right. Now, every time we send you a login, like today, we sent you a login, session number 1, right? And then you'll have some material, right? The next time we come together, we'll have another login, right? It'll be session number 2, and you also have some material. And then after that, session number 3, and you also have some material. The materials that we're going to give you are what we call training materials, training docs, training contacts, training contracts rather, and agreements, and they have the little bubbles on it. They have little things on it and whatnot. Those are just training docs. Don't worry about that. When you complete the course, and you've paid for the whole entire thing, we are going to email you the complete, what we call real world documents. Okay, real world documents. All right. And for those who request, and we had about 4 or 5 people requested already, we will send you a binder that we'll put together with the documents in there for you in order to help you. Okay. We want you to be successful here. All right. And we're trying to build a network among us. So we're going to consider you family and network investors amongst us, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, folks. And it's happened to us time and time again. We market, right, for subject to properties. We have a website. And when people go to your website, you're going to get people not only in your state and county and city, you're going to get people in other states and other cities and counties who may be asking you for help and to take over their property. I would not turn that down. You're going to have immense opportunities. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Come on, this is Q&A. Q&A. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. You don't have to show your face on the video if you want. If you don't want, you can if you'd like. Don't worry about it. As long as we can hear your voice. Just be mindful to, after you ask your question, to mute your mic so we don't hear any background noise, TVs, babies, stuff like that and whatnot going on. All right. All right. Good deal. Good deal. Good deal. Miss Crystal Miller, you're new with us today. Do you have any questions for us today?
No questions. What you said is self-explanatory.
Okay.
So we'll get all the documents in the end when we finish paying for everything.
That's right. So you're still going to get documents for each session. You're going to get all the documents anyway, but they're going to be like training documents. So they have little bubbles on it, little things on them, whatnot. But you're going to get documents without those things on it that you can use in the real world, because we want you to be. So don't worry about that. That's why I tell people the best way to do it, my humble opinion, is when we give you the login. Let's say you're on a desktop or a laptop. You download the documents and you print them out. And how I would do it, I print them out. I have them in front of me. And while I am taking the course, I'd be writing my notes on the document. That way you can go back to the document to refer. Oh, this is what this is about. That's what that's about. Whatever, you know, and it's a nice little mash of notes and whatnots. And then when you're ready for the real world stuff, we got the regular documents that are blank for you. They're going to be in PDF format and Microsoft Word, so you can edit them as you please. Okay. And again, if you are requesting, you can have us send you a binder. The binders are not automatic. You have to request them and we'll print them out, put them together, have everything in order for you. In addition to us emailing you the real world documents. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to start right now with this thing here. So hold on a second, folks. I know my voice is a little raspy, but that's how it do. Okay, here we go. An advanced real estate investing strategy. So let's get right down to it, okay? And we're going to discuss this strategy that you can literally take to the bank. You and I, we live in the real world, folks, okay? Not the ivory towers that the infomercial gurus speak from. You know, a lot of guys, they teach this strategy and they charge thousands of dollars. I've met them, some of them here in our state, you know, and we don't believe that should be the case. we humbly believe that when they do that, they're really selling courses. They're not active in the subject to transactions, getting properties, leasing properties, and all that kind of stuff. But that's neither here nor there. That's just our opinion. All right. So in the real world, nobody, with the exception of Bill Gates and what's the other guy, Tesla dude, and have unlimited amount of cash and credit. All right. I know I didn't when I started out. We didn't have it. And quite frankly, it wouldn't matter if we had $50 million in the bank, high sky credit rating. The fact is, it doesn't make sense to use up your own personal resource to invest in real estate. There's definitely a better way. You don't have to use credit here. You don't have to use cash. All right. Now, this strategy requires no cash or credit. You've heard that before. Oh, no cash or credit. Invest in real estate. This is one of the true ones. Okay. Because you're not going to the bank and you're not going to find a piece of property and say, oh, I want that property. What's the price on it? It's a foreclosure or it's for sale by owner. Let me go get a loan to see if I qualify. You're not doing that with subject to. You're not doing that. Subject to strategy is a personal transaction, folks. A personal transaction between you and the homeowner. You hear what I said? It is a personal transaction between you and the homeowner. So you're going to sign a contract with someone who is in pre-foreclosure, right? And remember, these people, for the most part, want to walk away, have to walk away, okay? Normally, in the cases that usually happen, they don't have any other redress. They can't get a loan, all right, to make up the back payments. They have lost their job. They've lost their income. Maybe their spouse or their partner has parted ways and they can no longer make the payments. The thing that these people are in, the financial debacle, is that if they do walk away, what's going to happen is that credit debt that they have, and nowadays it's an average about $300,000 to $400,000, is going to be on their credit for the next 7 to 10 years. And they have no redress. They have no way to get out of it, right? So rather than walk away, our proposition is to get to these particular types of homeowners. We call them motivated sellers, motivated homeowners, right? And tell them, look, I tell you what, instead of you walking away and foreclosing, instead of you walking away and damaging your credit, we will agree to take that property, right? That you're going to walk away from. You're definitely going to move. You're not going to stay. You can't stay, right? We're going to take it and we're going to make the mortgage payments. We're going to make the current mortgage payments. We're going to make the future mortgage payments. In return, you're going to sign the house over to us, which means they're going to sign the current deed of ownership over to you guys or your entity, your LLC, your trustee, whatever the case may be, right? Now, while you're making those payments, now remember, they have to move out the house. They're not staying there. We're not talking about keeping the homeowners in the property. We don't do that. And we'll tell you about that later, why we don't do that. But we're talking about the homeowner leaving. They're giving you the keys. They're giving you the deed. And you are taking the property. You're becoming the owner. The beauty about this, why you don't need credit, is because the mortgage that the homeowner has on the property is not going to go away. It's going to come with the deed. That's why you, investor, new person, are not going to sign anything with the bank at all, because an existing mortgage has already been signed by the homeowner, and the existing mortgage is going to come with the deed. The only thing that you may sign is a power of attorney. It may be the deed yourself if you want to be the trustee. Okay, but that's it. And that's between you and the homeowner, not the bank. That's why you don't need credit. That's why you're not going to get a loan, because a loan already comes with this. This is how this works phenomenally. Otherwise, what opportunity or what redress does the homeowner have to help themselves? No, they're just going to foreclose. That's what usually happens. They foreclose. I can't tell you how many people find us through our bandit signs, our website, our social media marketing, whatever the case may be, referrals, say, oh my God, if I had known what you did, I would have turned the house over to you, sir, or ma'am, or guys, rather than voluntarily foreclosing and walk away. I'm telling you, there is a niche market for this, people. It's a niche market. Now, the strategy is called taking over properties subject to the existing mortgage. That means The existing mortgage is coming with the deed, and we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to give you the paperwork. We're going to give you the contracts. We're going to show you how to talk to the seller, how to qualify the seller, how to do what we call due diligence to see if what you got is what it is. Also, you have to hold the property correctly because we don't want you to lose it. And we're going to show you how to hold it. We're going to show you how to sell through a land trust. And we're going to show you how to make money. Now, most investors in this world who are flippers, who are wholesalers, right? How they make money in real estate is that there has to be some cushion, which means there have to be some leeway between the price of the property they have negotiated and what they can sell it for, right? The thing about subject to is that you don't need that. You don't need no cushion. You don't even need equity. We can take properties that are what they call upside down, right? Which means they owe more than what's the value of the property, right? That means the mortgage might be $400,000. And then the value of the property may have dropped to $350,000. It can't sell on the market unless you come to the table with that extra 50. So these people are stuck because most people say, well, if they're in foreclosure, why don't you just sell the property? They can't do it, right? So most investors are not going to take those properties either because they can't do nothing with it either. All right. They have to pay off the whole $400,000 mortgage in order to take it. And they're not going to do that. All right. So we can take those upside down properties and we can show you how to make money. And we've done it time and time again. That's what this strategy is about. I just wanted to pop in and say that real quick. And let me get back to my stuff here. Now, remember, if you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to ask. All right. So this system that we have, and we teach it as a system, folks. We don't teach it mosh, posh, hitch, hodge, whatever the case may be. Teach it as a system. It's fundamentally simple. All we do is we find houses that we can acquire, right? Some people say buy. We don't like to say buy because we're going to show you that you don't have to do what these other practitioners are subject to, which means they buy the houses. They still give the homeowners cash. We're going to show you how to present yourself as a service to the homeowner. So they're going to be so happy in what you present that they're going to give you the property and the keys and they're going to walk away and they're going to thank you. Okay. So once we get these properties, right, without using our cash or credit, we're going to simultaneously find a tenant buyer who wants to get into that property. So we get a property from one person and we sell it to another and we keep the difference. However, when we sell it, we don't sell it right away. We're going to sell it on what we call terms, rent to own or lease with the option to buy. That means you are still going to own the property. That means you're going to make money up front on the property, right? Because they have to give you some money to get in. You're going to get that cash. It's non-refundable. And then you're going to make money every single month on the term. The term could be 12 months. The term could be 24 months. It could be 36 months, whatever lease agreement you set with your tenant buyer, you're going to make money every single month on that property. And then when they get qualified and their credit gets up to par, they're going to do what? They're going to buy the property from you. You're going to get paid again. 3 times you get paid with each property. All right. Now, sometimes if we're lucky, we may get a property that sells right away. And when that happens, we put all the cash in our pocket. But let me tell you, if the homeowner could have sold that property right away, they wouldn't be talking to you. So most of the properties that you're going to get, you can't sell them the traditional way on the market, but we can sell them rent to own or lease with option to buy. But you're going to make some money. All right. If there's a need, fill it. And there's going to be a need. There's going to be a need that people say, oh my God, I have no choice. I got this property. I got this house. I can't make my payment. I got a new job in California and I live in Arizona. What am I going to do? I can't sell the house, you know? So they got this mortgage. They traditionally walk away at forecloses, 7 to 10 years. That's on their credit. But guess what? We step in when there's a need, fill it. We step in and we take that property and we help the homeowner and they're happy. And let me tell you, we're going to show you when we go through the contract, there's ways that the homeowner will even pay you. That's right. Pay you to take the house. Now, with that said, there's going to be something else that's going to happen. When you come across these houses, folks, you're going to see one that you personally like. And if you like it, guess what? The only thing that's going to stop you from moving into that property is this. Can I make the payment? If you can make the payment, guess what? You simply move in and start making the payments. You do not have to sign a contract with the lender or the bank or the mortgage company. Why? Because there already is one that the homeowner already had. And you're taking over that, not assuming it, but you're paying it. As long as you pay it, the lender is going to be satisfied. Now, here's the good thing. While you're paying it, you own it. How do you own something that is on a mortgage? Because the deed to the house and the mortgage are two separate things. Two separate things. So the homeowner, he's going to sign his deed or her deed over to you, making you the owner, but they're not going to sign the mortgage to you. We don't want the mortgage signed to us. What happens if the mortgage is signed to us? It means we get debt, and we don't want debt. If you have debt, that means if something happens in your financial life, they can come after you, right? They can sue you. They can take your stuff. That's why we love Subject to, because you can acquire 10, 20, 30 of these properties. You sure can. And if something happens to you personally, financially, and you can't make these payments or something goes crazy, guess what happens? Did you know that it never goes against your credit? Now, I'm not saying that is necessarily a fantastic thing, but it's a good thing. It's better to make money on these properties, right? Cash flow them out, and they're not tied to your personal credit, because knock on wood, things happen. Things happen. I've known investors who went upside down, who lost their properties, right? And most of them did it because they went and got loans on those properties, right? And that means they had foreclosures if they had 2 or 3 properties, they had 2 or 3 foreclosures on their credit for 7 to 10 years. At today's prices, are you kidding? How are you going to recover from that? You got to file bankruptcy. Then you still got to wait another 5, 6, 7 years to recover from that. With subject to, folks, since the mortgage is still in the homeowner's name, God forbid, if you make a mistake and after a year or two and you get that property and it does foreclose, it does not go against your credit, even if the deed is in your name or in your trustee's name. That's the law. Ask us how we know. That's why this subject to is one of the most well-kept secrets in the industry. It is a secret. A lot of people don't know about this, but it's coming out now. A lot of people are learning about it, understanding it. Now, I want to say this, subject to is not the end all be all, okay? But it's a good strategy if you're thinking about getting into real estate to start with, all right? It's also a good strategy if you're an investor to have under your belt as a tool, because some investors are really good at wholesaling. Some investors are really good at flipping and buying houses. Some of them do get loans, and you can get these properties here without getting a loan and still make good cash and sell it and make money and rent it and make money. That's the idea. This is an opportunity of all of us to get into the wealth game, folks. That's what it really is. Because look, the last debacle, 2008, the crash, right? We had millions of foreclosures, millions of properties. People foreclosed, walked away. Other people got it. But let me tell you something. Those properties were never demolished by any bulldozer. No magical pen came out of the sky or zapped them away. Nothing like that. They simply transferred from one person or persons to others. That's all they did. It was just a transfer of wealth and properties to other people. What I'm saying, this is an opportunity for you to get into this game, to get a transfer of wealth to you. It's the opportunity. Why? Food, clothing, and shelter. That's the basic things that people need. This is the shelter game. How many people that we know personally, oh, you know, a place I can rent, you know, a place I can move in. Everybody's looking for a place to live. Human beings have to live. If you're in the game of providing shelter, you're going to make some money for you and your family. And you can be really wealthy at it. This strategy, again, allows you to do it without putting your credit on the line. Okay? Without putting your credit on the line. That's what it's about. Now, I know I was supposed to read, but sometimes I don't like to read. And Constance tell me you read too damn much. Stop reading, get to talking, and make it happen. So that's what we're doing. All right. So listen, with what I just said, I just want to open up the floor for any questions. All right, on anything I said. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. This is Q&A. We always do this on the first session. We want to get this stuff out because when we get down to nitty gritty, it's time to get down and party, folks. All right. Anybody have any questions? Come on. Let's do the damn thing. Don't be scared. You guys are scared, huh? Oh, y'all know this? Constance, you have any comments? Nobody has any comments for me. Okay, well, I'm going to keep on reading. So, how do we know that this subject to strategy is legit? Let me tell you. In a traditional sale, folks, traditional sales, which means regular sales, someone gets a loan, they get a mortgage, they buy a house from Jane and John Doe, they get the deed, they move in, whatever. There's closing transactions, right? There's closing transactions, legitimate ones that have to take place. So one of the documents in a regular transaction is called the settlement statement. In every real estate transaction where you buy a house and sell one, there's a settlement statement, right? On every settlement statement, if you guys know someone who got a mortgage, look at their settlement statement. Look at line 203 and then look at line 503. What does it say? Existing loans taken subject to. That's right. It's there. It's there. I even helped a fellow, well, I got to know him, an investor, about 2 months ago. He did a subject to transaction and he had a traditional one. And he had this on his closing documents. He purchased the property, taking it subject to. I had to do the trust for him. He didn't mind me doing that. But let me tell you, this is legal. So this is part of your homework. If you guys know anyone who have a house and they have closing transactions and you're pretty close to them and they allow you to look at it, ask them, could you look at the closing transactions because you want to check something out. Look for this thing called this settlement statement. Okay. Look for this thing called a settlement statement. It's on there. It's on their stuff. Okay. Now, of course, you're going to see other things on there, what they bought it for, the taxes, what the seller made, what the seller got, what the homeowner, is responsible for, closing costs. But you're going to see line 203 and line 503. And every time you see it, it's going to be blank. Nothing's going to be filled out there. You know why? Most realtors, and I love realtors, we're not against them, they don't know how to do this. Now, I have realtors in my family, son and daughter, all right? And they'll tell you, yeah, you can do subject to. And everyone who goes to realtor school to get a license will tell you that they tell them that subject to can be done, but it is not taught how to do it. You can only learn this in a forum like this, outside, just like you're doing it right now. This is legal. It's not illegal to do. Okay, folks, it's not illegal to do. So just to show you, all right, let me go ahead and give you some more validity here. So we're gonna do some quotes. Oh, that's the wrong one. We're gonna do some quotes from a couple of real estate manuals across the country. Okay, here's one. This one is quote from Modern Real Estate Practice by Dearborn Press. Look it up yourself. Okay, this is an example and more proof of skeptics, right? That this way of acquiring real estate is legitimate. It is. Okay, this is from Modern Real Estate Practice, Dearborn Press. You can find this book. When a person purchases real estate that has an outstanding mortgage, right, or deed of trust, the buyer may take the properties in one of two ways. It can be purchased, subject to the mortgage of the deed of the trust, right? Or the buyer can assume the mortgage. All right, you hear what I'm saying? This is knowledge that's already common out there, but it's not taught because they want you to go ahead and put your credit on the line, right? Because they have to have some skin in the game, right? They got to make some money. Put your credit on the line, your down payment. You got to get your credit up. You got to have everything going on. You got to have this, that, and the other, W-2s, all this kind of stuff. You may not have that stuff. You may not qualify, but guess what? When you get a subject to property, you don't have to do any kind of qualification. You're qualified, the homeowner, to see if you want to take the property, if it's worth for you to take. Can I make the mortgage payment? Is there a balloon payment? What's the interest? How's the property value? What's the condition of the property? You're going to make the decision now of whether you're going to take that property. All right. So subject to is common knowledge to certain particular people. And we're trying to make this knowledge available to you. All right. Subject to. So you guys read this on your own. Okay. Read this on your own. Arizona Real Estate Practice and Law. That's right. Yeah, but they talk about subject to. I've talked to a couple of realtors. They say, yeah, it's in the book and it's also in our stuff, but they don't teach us how to do it. They just tell us we can because they don't want these type of transactions done primarily. All right. Because that means somebody's not going to make no money. That means the Loan officer might not make money. I mean, the realtor might not make money. That means the title company might not make money. That means the bank might not make money. You see what I'm saying? That means the seller might not make money, because how we get these properties, we rarely give the seller any money. And that's not to say we're taking advantage. That's not to say we're taking advantage, because look, what we're doing is a service. First of all, we're stopping your foreclosure. Oh my God, that means we're stopping that $400,000 debt or $300,000 debt from being on your head, on your credit for 7 to 10 years. Boom. And if you have missed payments, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, right, and you can no longer make payments, you got to move out, and we start making the payments, what does that do to your credit? If we start making the payments, the current sheet, your credit starts to go up and up and up and up and up. So we're doing you a service. We stop the foreclosure. You're not going to have a $400,000 debt. All right. This is what we tell people. This is how we explain this to them. Right. And we're improving your credit in return for that. Right. Because who would make a mortgage payment on someone's house without having any security? So the security that we need, folks, is that since they're going to walk away from the property, no longer live in there, right? Sign the deed, which is the ownership, the title to the property, over to us. That way we have full control and we can do what we want with it. Now, regardless of what we do with it, we're still going to keep our moral and contractual obligation to the seller and make the payments, because that's how we keep the property from foreclosing. So we're going to do what the seller couldn't do: make the payments and stop it from foreclosure and make some money doing it. And we're going to show you how to do it. We're going to show you how to do it. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, you guys got this unlocked. Okay. How you doing there, Dexter? You still with me, sir?
I'm here. I'm just listening.
All right. All right. So yeah, you pretty much know it. Dexter's a real estate investor, so he's in the game. He knows. But for you new people, you got to think of it like this. So a subject to deals where a homeowner gives you their property, right? Not like a traditional scenario where you're buying it. Okay. Okay. It's subject to the lien. That means the mortgage is coming with it. It remains with the property, right? Now, a lot of people mistakenly believe subject to is the same thing as assumptions. When you assume somebody's mortgage, no, ma'am, no, sir. We're not assuming no one's mortgage. Why do we do that? If I assume Joe Blow's mortgage, right, that means if I fail to make the payments or something goes wrong with my tenant buyer, he doesn't make the payments and it forecloses, it goes on my credit. Also, if I assume it successfully, right? Okay, let's say I do assume the mortgage and everything is good, right? There's another property. Oh, let me assume this one. When I try to assume the next property, folks, what's going to happen is that the lender is going to run another credit check. They're going to see my debt to income ratio. And they're going to say, well, you already have this $400,000 loan on your credit and you're making payments, but based on your income and the debt that you have now, we can't give you another property that you're going to assume in more debt. What I'm trying to say is that when you assume a property, you may, depending on your credit, be able to assume a homeowner's property, right? Which means you're going to be liable for their loan, which I would never do. All right. You may be able to do that, but you're going to be able to do that maybe once or twice. All right. At the most, that means you're going to be limited to the amount of properties you can assume. With subject to, since you're not assuming the loans, they're just signing the deed over to you. You can get 10 deeds, 20 deeds, which means 10 properties, 20 properties signed over to you. All right. Regardless of your credit. When you assume a loan, your credit is on the line. When you assume a loan, the bank is going to ask you for a down payment. When you assume a loan, they could turn you down. When you assume a loan, they could say, oh, you're assuming this homeowner's 3.2% interest rate loan. Guess what? The interest rate today, sir, is about 7.5. In order for us to grant you to assume this loan and to take this property, you're going to have to pay a 7.5% interest rate. That's right. That's what's going to happen. Who wants to do that? Who wants to do that? So we don't assume loans. We don't assume loans. Now, I sent this material to you so you can read it on your own. Sometimes I pull it up and read it a little bit because I'm hoping you guys do ask questions, but you guys are a little shy tonight. I don't know why. But when we get down and pate, I hope you ain't that shy. Okay. So what is a subject to deal? Buying a house subject to the existing mortgage is an awesome way, right, to acquire property. No credit ever. I keep saying this over and over again. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. There's pros and cons. Now, there's some less than perfect features about subject to transaction. We're going to be real about it. Okay, the concept can be difficult to sell to anyone but the most motivated of sellers. Okay, that's because the homeowner or the seller's name is going to stay on that mortgage. Therefore, their credit is at risk. Now, their credit was at risk before you met them in the first place. Okay, but when you make those payments, their credit should not be at risk. Now, the reason why it's difficult to sell to anyone but the most motivated of sellers, because a regular seller who's selling their house traditionally is not going to do a subject to transaction with you because they don't have to. See, motivated means what? Oh, I got to sell. There's some problems. My divorce, my new job requires me to go out of state. I lost my job. You know, I'm sick or something is going on that these people are motivated. They got to get rid of the house today. A regular seller, they can sit back. You know, regular seller can sit back like this and just wait for the house to sell. If it doesn't sell, they say, oh, well, it didn't sell. I didn't get my money. I'm not in trouble. All right. The mortgage is still good. I can make the payments. Don't make a mistake like some people do when they learn this transaction and they learn this strategy and they go to a regular homeowner and seller and try to do subject to. You will embarrass yourself. The people will say, what the heck are you talking about? We do not present this to anyone but the most motivated of sellers. That means people who are in trouble, who cannot sell the property right away, but they're afraid that if they hold on any longer, it is going to foreclose. They're going to damage their credit. They're going to be in big, big trouble. Those people will willingly give it to you. I know it's unbelievable. I can't tell you the feeling you guys are going to get when you finally get a property and you're going to have the keys and you're going to walk through and you're going to look at the ceiling and the wall and you'll say, oh my God, they gave me. That's right. It's a great feeling because it really happens. This is not fantasy. It's real deal. It's a particular type of market that we go for. All right. That's what we do here. So let's get back and let's talk about, again, some of the cons to subject to, because there are pros, cons to everything. So now, it's difficult to sell to anyone, but we're going to show you how to do that. And of course, we're going to explain to you that the only kind of sellers and homeowners you should be talking to are the motivated ones, so you won't be wasting your time, okay? And the more foreclosures are looming on the market, the more motivated sellers they're going to be, folks, all right? Number two, there's no easy way to get out of a subject to deal other than not making the payments. Because let me tell you, if you don't make the payments, then the property that you got from the homeowner is going to foreclose. But when it does foreclose, it never goes against your credit, but it goes against them, and they may be upset. So it's kind of unethical. So remember, when you decide to do this, you have an ethical, moral, and contractual obligation to the homeowner to do what you say you're going to do, which means make that payment. Now, we're not saying you're going to make the payment out of your bank book or out of your check or out of your savings. We're going to show you how to get those payments made that it doesn't come out of your pocket. All right. So number three, homeowners insurance. That can be tricky to handle. All right. So some people say, well, shoot, we keep the old insurance policy in place, but we're going to teach you something here. We're going to teach you how to get insurance on your property, because if something happens, God forbid, you want to be covered, and so does the bank, and you want to get paid. All right. People make a mistake when they get these properties subject to, and they keep the old homeowners policy in place, which is not going to cover you. So we're going to show you how to protect yourself in that case. All right. Now, number four, subject to closings are somewhat complicated. All right. Since it's usually necessary to create something called a land trust and appoint a trustee and then assignment of beneficial interest. But we're going to teach you that. So you're going to learn some knowledge that normally you're going to have to pay thousands. That's why those guys charge thousands of dollars to do this, right? And you're going to learn some skills here to protect your property, hold the property, and sell the property. And you're going to understand why to use a land trust. So that's why some people go, oh, so complicated. Put it on land. It's not complicated at all. Not the way we teach you. It's complicated now because you don't understand it. But once you get it, you'll learn it. It's a skill, valuable skill. So in other words, it's an awesome way to buy property, but it gives you the ability to leverage in an incredible way. All right. So it's going to give you the absolute ability to have undeniable ownership, right? Without putting your credit on the line. That's what it does. All right. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. For you guys, you're supposed to ask questions about how does it work? What do we do? Homeowner this, that. Come on, let's do this. This is the opportunity to get this away. We got 20 more minutes to do this.
I
So,
think that big brother,
Yes, sir.
big brother. I think that you should let everyone know that how many payments one will miss for the property to go back to the seller.
Okay. Well,
You know
here's the thing. That's a good question. So you saying that we should inform people that if they do miss payments, what happens after they take
Yeah,
it?
it should be a number of payments that the person who took the property back, how many payments he or she would have to miss for the seller to take the property back from that person.
Okay,
Is
so
it 50, 100, payments, whatever?
that's a good question that you bring up. And bringing up that question also lets you know how we do it. When we take over a property subject to, the seller is never, ever in the deal ever again. They're gone. So the seller never gets the property back, ever. If we miss payments after we take the payment, Decker, right? And the bank decides to do a foreclosure action, the bank gets the property now. So what happens, the bank gets the property originally what was supposed to happen when the seller didn't make the payment. So it doesn't go back to the seller unless you make a deal between you and the seller that, hey, if I mess up and I can't make it, I'll sign the property back over to you. Some people do that. Okay. But in most cases, if the seller couldn't deal with it when he had it, they might not be able to deal it when they get it back to you, when you give it back to them. So what happens is that when you make successful payments and you bring everything current, the bank has to go through a process of foreclosure. Legally, in almost every single state in the country, you have to miss 3 payments, right? The first payment, the second payment, the third payment. When you miss the third payment, they don't foreclose. They have to give you a notice of foreclosure. And when they give you a notice of foreclosure after the third payment that has been missed, right? Then you have another 90 days. That means you got another 3 months. So if you do take the properties, folks, and you do mess up and you do have a problem, you technically have 6 months to catch up and make those payments. Right, Decker?
That's correct.
All right. That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
That's why it's a beautiful way. And that's why I tell people, look, if you're renting right now, right, get a property subject to for yourself and your family. Why? Let me tell you. Because if you're renting, right, and you're dealing with a landlord who owns the property and you're just a renter and you miss a payment, they're not going to wait 3 months, 5 months, 6 months before they take the house. That landlord, he's going to go ahead and go give you that 5-day notice. In most states it is, or 3-day notice, or 7-day notice, depending on the state. And after that 7-day notice, if you don't make the payment that you miss, they're going to take you to court and get a court judgment. And the court judgment is going to say within X amount of days, even a week or two. In Arizona, you'd be out of here in 30 days. All right. You're gone. You got to go. You get evicted. Now, the beauty about if you can't get a property that you normally get through the standard loan transaction and buy it on the market with your credit, because you don't have to do that. If you get a subject to property for you and your family, folks, and you move in and you take over that mortgage and you start paying the mortgage like you're paying rent to that landlord, right? Let's say something does happen to your credit. Let's say you lose your job, or let's say you and your spouse, break up, or let's say they lose their income and you miss a payment and things start happening. They're not going to take away the property the first month. They're not going to take away the property the second month. They're not going to take away the property the third month, right? The third month, they're going to give you notice. You missed 3 months. Now you got 90 days for this sale date that's coming to make up. So you got 6 months to catch up. What landlord is going to let you do that? That's the beauty. I tell people, look, you got to understand this. You're going to make money with these properties, putting people in them, getting rent, right? You're also going to have the opportunity to move into something where it's going to be less stressful for you, because you don't have to worry about, oh, God forbid, because things happen, you lose your job or your income goes down. You won't have to worry about getting evicted. Also, on that eviction notice, if you got an eviction or you got a foreclosure on your record or a felony, go ahead and try to get a loan for a house. You're going to be turned down. With subject to, doesn't matter if you have evictions. Doesn't matter if you have foreclosures. Doesn't matter if you have bad credit. Doesn't matter if you have a felony, because you're not qualifying to get a loan because the loan already exists and it comes with the property that the homeowner is gonna give you. Yep, that's why I love it. Listen, we used to, when we get subject to properties, when we see nice neighborhoods, everything is real. There's certain neighborhoods that, that are desirable for us, that are hard to get in. They do redlining, blacklining, whatever the case may be. With subject to, did you know if you get a property in a nice neighborhood that traditionally oh my God, I don't know if I can afford to live in there because they won't let me even move in there, qualify. We used to move into any neighborhood we wanted to because we owned the house. It didn't matter. If it was upscale, $1 million neighborhood, low class neighborhood, middle class, we moved into it because we owned it. And no one can tell us anything other than that. So you're going to be able to move in where you like, if you like the property and if you like the neighborhood. That's a benefit. So felonies, evictions, credit, bad marks on your record, that have nothing to do with this. That's why you can get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 properties and don't have to worry about that. And while you're getting these properties, you're going to be making money. You're going to be making money. You're going to be making money. Everyone needs a place to move into. And if he or she are the person that has those properties, you're the king or the queen of the day. And people, yes, ma'am. Crystal,
how do you negotiate with the banks, and where do you get the money to pay off the back payments?
Excellent question. How do you negotiate with the banks? That's good. Okay, number one, traditionally when we talk to sellers, homeowners and whatnot, and they're behind in payments, we find out when we go to their homes, if we happen to meet them and whatnot, that they get monthly mortgage statements, right? They get monthly mortgage statements all the time, keeps coming to their house, this, that, and the other. I'm trying to find the envelope that's not open, right? And these monthly mortgage statements are just piling up. Most of them never call the lender. They never negotiate with the lender because they know one thing, shit, the mortgage got to be paid. I already know. All right. And when they do call, they're not experienced, because how many people go through foreclosure every day of their life or every year? Maybe once in their life. So they don't know how to talk to lenders. They don't know how to negotiate. So we find out that people don't even know what to say to these lenders. So we're going to show you how easy it is, Crystal, that you can talk to these lenders. So we're going to have you sign something. Actually, we're going to have the homeowner sign a document, right? That's an authorization that's going to be notarized, that they're going to give you, the investor, the ability to talk to the lender, the bank or the mortgage company. And the bank or the mortgage company, when they get this, they're going to talk to you. They're not going to be like, oh, we're not going to talk to you because you're not on the loan. No, they're going to talk to you. And the document that we give you is so powerful that they're going to talk to you and allow you to do a number of things. You can negotiate. You can negotiate late fees. You can ask for a modification. You can ask for anything that you want as if you were the person who signed on the loan, but not responsible for the loan. But we're going to show you how to do that. So you're going to have a document that allows you to talk to the lender, number one. Now, remember, we're not saying you're going to get a loan from the lender, because you're not going to do that. But you're going to talk to the lender about the existing loan and what the lender is willing to do, number one. Okay. Now, the other part of your question, what was it? Oh, how do you make up the back payments, right? Love that. Number one question. That's what stops a lot of people. Say, oh my God, I understand this, but shit, how can I make them payments up? The back payments. What if I get a homeowner who's turned over the property to me and they're 3 months behind or 5 months behind? Well, we do not advocate that you come out of your pocket or your bank book or savings or credit and you make, or a credit card, and make those payments. We don't. Now, certainly, if you have those kind of deep pockets and that's what works for you, by all means, do that. But what we do, we teach you 3 main methods to make the payments, right? And when we say make the payments, 3 main methods to make up the back payments, the bulk of the back payments at one time, right? The first method is loan modification. You'd be surprised how many times homeowners don't even call the lender or ask them, can I modify this loan? Or they may not know how to qualify for loan modification. So we're going to show you how to speak to the lender and ask them, is a modification possible? What's a loan modification? The standard loan modification is that the lender will agree to take all those back payments, Crystal, and they'll put them back into the loans, called reamortizing back into the loan, and have you start fresh as if you never missed a payment. Now, what's going to happen is that The principal is going to be higher now because they took the back payments that's supposed to be made and put it back into the loan. And the person's going to owe much more money on it. Who cares? But now it's current. Okay, that's called a loan modification. And sometimes you can successfully get them to even reduce the payment as well. So that's the number one method we use. So a qualification that we teach you to do once you get a property, it looks nice and the mortgage payment looks pretty decent, and you know you can ask for rent like $200-300 above the mortgage, so you can make money with your tenant buyer. Everything looks good. You did your due diligence. The next thing you want to find out if that lender is going to be prone to give you a modification. That's the next thing you do. Now you're doing this while the property's under contract. You're doing your due diligence. You're finding out, and you're going to decide based on what the lender tell you the next step to do. All right. A lot of times lenders love modifications. You just got to see and understand how to get your homeowner qualified, and we can show you how to do that. Now, that's the number one way. Let's say your lender says, well, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones already had a modification and they messed up, which happens, right? So we can't grant them another one. So we need all these back payments made up. Well, when we sign a contract with the homeowner, Crystal, we teach you when you sign a contract with the homeowner, right? That means you're signing a contract. You haven't closed the deal yet. You haven't got the deed. You sign a contract, so the homeowner agrees, yep, potentially I'm going to take this property, and 30 days from now, 45 days now, we're going to do the deal. During that time, right, of the contract being open, and we teach you to go ahead and market to a tenant buyer. A tenant buyer is someone who's not a renter, but someone who's going to enter into a contract with you, Crystal, to pay rent on this property until they can buy it, rent to own. Now, how the rent to own works is they have to give you something up front that is similar to a down payment, but it is not a down payment. It's called an option payment. The option payment is non-refundable, and the option payment can range in whatever you decide. $5,000 up front, $10,000 up front, $20,000 up front, whatever you decide, and whatever they agreed to pay you to get into this house now with no credit check, no qualified, because you're the owner of the house. You put them in, right? That money that you get, you can use that to make up the back payments before you even close with the seller. You know, oh, I got a way to make the back payments. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this deal. So you don't make the back payments yet, right? You don't make it yet. You make sure that you do your marketing, because that's what we do. As soon as we sign with the seller, we do marketing. We get a bunch of people lined up, and whoever's got the money to cover the back payments, plus put some money in our pocket, that's who we're going to move into the property. And that's non-refundable option payment that seller gives. That's the second way you make the payments. All right. If the first way doesn't work, let's say the second way doesn't work. The third way is that you can have a silent investor. There's a lot of people, doctors, attorneys, lawyers, people in business who have 401ks, and their 401ks are making pittance for interest, 1% to nothing. And a lot of these people, and a lot of people that we know, they want to get into real estate and they have a savings. They don't know how to do it. So I tell them, say, look, you want to get into real estate? Here's what we do. What I do, I take over these properties who are going to be foreclosed on, and I get them before they foreclose. The only thing that I have to do is come up with the money to stop the foreclosure by making the back payments. Here's your opportunity to get into business with me, and I'll show you the ropes. You come in, you make these back payments, and I'll make you part of the deal. And I make them the trustee on the property, which means I let them be the title holder, the deed holder to the property, and they're happy as security for them. And that works every time. That's the third way. The fourth way, obviously, if you got them deep pockets, a credit card, you make them payments and you move on and it's yours and that's it. But we don't advocate you making payments out of your bank book, your savings, your checking, your credit card at all. We advocate making payments these three ways, either by loan modification first, your tenant buyer who comes in, because that's an excellent way, because that's going to cover it, and plus put money in your pocket. And then when you put your tenant buyer in there, guess what? You get money every month from them, right? And then you're going to cash out at the end when they buy the property. So that's the primary way. And of course, there's always some investors, the third way, who wants to get into business. And you say, look, I'll tell you what, I'll get you into business right now. I'll show you how to do this. I'll show you the ropes. In return, lend me the money to make these back payments and you're in business. Boom. That's how we do it. We don't advocate you coming out of your pocket, Crystal. That's why we truly tell you no cash, none of your credit. You understand how this works? And it works.
Yes.
It really, really does. It really,
I
really
have, I have one more question.
yes.
If someone has 1 day until pre-foreclosure, how do you get to the courthouse on time to make the payment to stop the auction?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So let me tell you how this works in our experience. One day, you got to have that cash, and they usually want a certified cashier's check. They won't take cash. They will not take it. You got to have a certified cashier's check. All right. And that's the only way it's going to stop it. So that means if you got a tenant buyer, right, who looks at your property, your proposition, yeah, I want to move in, no credit, oh, gives you that money, you got to turn it to a cashier's check and you go to that courthouse. Now, let me tell you, the only way you're going to stop that foreclosure is to make that final payment. All right. Now, there's other ways to postpone a foreclosure, which we found out. But normally, if it's 1 day, a week, or 2 weeks ahead, the lender is not going to do a postponement. They're going to want all that cash. So that's how you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to go to that courthouse, and we'll show you how to do that. And it's relatively easy to do because, look, number one, you're going to be in contact with the homeowner, right? So you're going to know who their mortgage company is. You're going to know how much they're behind in payments because we're going to teach you how to talk to the lender and get all that information. You're going to know everything to the penny, what you're going to need. And you're going to go down and make those certified cashier's check, and it will stop the foreclosure. And you're going to be happy and you're going to get a property. Now, you never make a payment to do that unless the homeowner gives you the deed first. And you never make a payment to do that unless the homeowner is out of the house. I can't tell you how many investors make mistakes, Crystal. The homeowner's still in the house, right? Or the homeowner didn't sign the deed over them and make the payment. The homeowner, I ain't leaving. Don't do that. We'll teach you the proper way and method and the right timing to do that. Okay, remember, these homeowners are motivated. Their number one thing is to not have that thing on their record for 7 to 10 years. So they're easily led to do the right thing for you. Okay, hope we answered that question. But yes, you generally have to go down there and make the payments, and then you have a bona fide stoppage of the sale, and everything is good and everything is fresh.
I also would like to say something to everybody in the group. That when you're making payments, I advise everyone to hire a third party, in other words, a sourcing company to take the payments, just to let the seller know, hey, I'm making payments on time. Here's notifications, and then they will get notifications, they'll get emails, everything to show that you're making their payments on time. That's what I would do. I would actually hire a sourcing company to take my monthly payments to make the payments on my behalf to the mortgage company, so the seller know your payments is being made on time, basically. And the sourcing company will actually give the homeowner some type of notification, either it might be via email, text, or U.S. mail, letting them know your payment has been successfully made. That'll give the seller a good feel, that let them know, so you know what, I don't have any problems with this house here. My payments being made on time. That's what I would recommend. I don't know if you agree with that, E, but that's what I would
absolutely
recommend.
agree with it. That's one way to do it. One way to do it. Third parties, because you're right, Decker. What Decker is telling you is that, homeowners may have some, I don't know. Are you going to make the payment even though I turn this house over to you? See, so Decker's right. So when you do have a third party, some of them are title companies. They'll do that for you. They'll escrow it. You make the payment to them. They make the payment to the bank. And like you said, the homeowner gets notified and they're comfortable in that type of transaction. Absolutely. So that's another way to seal the deal. To tell them, look, I got a third party who's going to guarantee that a payment is going to be made. I'm going to make it through them. They're going to make it through the bank, and you're going to be notified. Absolutely right, Decker. Absolutely right. However, another way to do it, and we do it all the time, because the thing about the third party, you will have to pay them something for the transaction. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But what we do is that we tell the homeowner, say, look, because the homeowners ask us the same thing you just said, Decker. How am I going to be sure that you're going to make the payments after you take this over? You know what I tell them? I said, well, you're still on the mortgage. You can call the bank anytime. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. I said, you can call the bank and they do. They do. They call the bank every month. This is such and such, because the bank is not going to say nothing, because they're according to the bank, they're still the homeowner. See, the bank still sees them as the homeowner because their name is on the mortgage. And they say, I just want to see if I have someone making a payment for me, my wife or whatever they tell me. I just want to see if the payment's being made. And they say, yes, been made on time. They can call every time. Sometimes it's an automatic system. They can call the 1-800 number, woo, 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 put their loan number in and says the payment has been made. This, so the homeowner will always know when the payment is going to be made. The method that Decker was talking about is an additional step because now you have a third party, and some people feel comfortable that there's a third party, legitimate, certified third party involved who's going to see to it that the payments are being made. Now, if you don't make the payment to the third party, the payment won't be made. So the third party is still going to rely on you and us, Decker, to make those payments.
That's
Just like the homeowner is still going to be relying on us to make the payments if they don't use a third party transactional firm.
Right.
So we tell this is what I do. I tell the homeowner, you can get on the phone and find out. And the thing about this, folks, homeowners will do that. The first month, they'll check. Second month, they'll check and check. And let me tell you what happens. After about 6 months, what does that mean? The homeowner goes ghost. They disappear.
Yeah.
By the state, they change their numbers, this, that, and the other. You never hear from them again. Some hang around. And remember, they can still call from wherever they're at to see if they paid the payments. You see?
What if you take over the property and they get a bankruptcy? What do you do next?
Ooh, that's a beautiful question.
Good
That is
question.
an absolute beautiful question. Knock on wood. Now, we've taken over properties that went to bankruptcy. Now, what we do when we talk to our sellers, Constance and I, we always try to qualify and really dig deep into the seller's financial history as best as possible without getting too deep into it. And we ask them, look, I know you're in financial difficulty. You lost your job, this, that, and the other. Creditors are behind you. You can't pay your credit card. Are you going to file bankruptcy? Because if you are, we can't take the property. We can't. Because what happens if you take the property during bankruptcy, the bankruptcy court is going to look at the seller trying to give you the property without going into bankruptcy, and they consider it fraud. They consider it, they're trying to hide their property because some people try to do it. Before I do the bankruptcy, I'm going to sign this property over to someone, So we ask the seller not to do that. And we do tell them, if you think that you have to file bankruptcy, wait at least a year. So what we have done is that we have taken over properties and the seller waited a year or two, then they filed bankruptcy, and the bankruptcy court has called us on the phone. Right, the bankruptcy trustee, and say, hey, I see that you guys have this property XYZ 123 West Main Street. You're making the payments, this, that, and you have to want to verify that. They need verification that we're owning. Say, yep, we got the deed and everything. And guess what happens? It's not part of the bankruptcy because it's not part of the seller's proceedings anymore because it's been seasoned for a year. And we've shown that we're making the payments is not part of the seller's financial equation. And they've never taken the property back from us. However, it is still a precarious thing. Bankruptcy stops a lot of stuff. Bankruptcy messes up a lot of things. So you do want to qualify with a seller. Unfortunately, if the seller is not truthful with you and you take that property today, right, you get a deed on it and you get a homeowner in there, a tenant buyer in there, or you move into it, and then 2 months later they file for bankruptcy, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. So that's something that you have to qualify. And
What will happen?
What will happen is that they'll take the property and foreclose on it or take it back. So I tell the seller, if you do that, what you had hired me to do to successfully make these payments, stop this foreclosure, and that $400,000 credit won't be in your name, is not going to happen anymore. That means you are killing the deal. So you're going to hold me not liable for the bank foreclosing. So why would you do that? And most people say, yeah, that's not what I want to do. Okay. So I tell them, say, look, keep it out of the bankruptcy proceedings. All right. Let us make the payments. Don't file for bankruptcy until about a year after. And we've taken over properties after a year, they file bankruptcy and the bankruptcy court doesn't include it because they see the homeowners not even legally attached to the property. Their deed is not in their name no more at all. It's in a trust. We own it and we're showing that we are making the payments. So it's not coming out of the former seller's financial bank book, financial checking or savings account. So it's not part of the proceedings. All right.
I think that's scary. That's one of the scary things, because if you get somebody to invest the money and you make up the back payments and now this person lied to you, now you're screwed. Now you look unreliable to the people who give you the money,
You can look that way. So that's one of the things that third way, I don't generally try to do that. We try to do loan modification. and we try to do tenant buyer. So we to avoid that. But knock on wood, we have never had a property go through bankruptcy and taken back from us ever. Usually the bankruptcy attorney and the lender, see, the mortgage companies are involved in this too, not just the bankruptcy court. And the mortgage company has a say so. And that's what we found out. And so they asked the mortgage company, what do you want to do? They said, well, Mr. Brown is making the payments. So, if we put this into the proceedings, everything stops. Payments stop, foreclosure happens. We won't get our money. Because remember, banks are in the business, Crystal, to get performing loans. They're not in the business to get properties. They want loans performing. That's why when we call and Joe Blow's behind in 3, 4, 5 months, and we call talking about we're going to make the banks are like, what? Oh, yeah, modification. Yeah, we'll do this. You see what I'm saying? They're happy when someone is calling to negotiate to continue making the payments. That's what they want. That's the idea. That's what banks want. They're in the business to make money. They're not in the business to take property. So if you negotiate carefully and correctly and make them understand that this is a proposition that's going to help them keep that loan performing, then most likely they won't do it. So the bank has a say so in the bankruptcy proceedings, and every bank has said, nope, we're not foreclosing. Those payments are being made now. Whereas the homeowner before they even went to bankruptcy was missing payments and was going to foreclose on, and they filed bankruptcy to stop this thing. But I see Mr. Brown and his company, or whoever, Miss Miller and their company, they're making the payments. No. See, the banks make financial sound decisions based on performing loans. You got to remember that. That's what they do. They're not just going, you got the deed? Oh, I don't care. I'm going for it. No, they're not going to do that. They have to answer to an investor who may own that loan. And the investor is going to say, is the payments being made? Yes. Are you foreclosing? Yeah, no, you're not. The investor's going to say, no, you're not. We've had investors tell the bank that. See, banks are not the end all be all. There's usually an investor who owns that loan. And we found out the bank didn't want to grant the modification. And we got to the investor, and the investor found out, and he said, yes, I want the modification because that means the payments are going to be made. That's my performing loan. Boom. Again, the banks are in the business to make money on performing loans. If you successfully proposition yourself to the bank like that, they're going to go with your recommendations first before they decide to foreclose.
Eric,
Yes.
I like to add to that.
Go right ahead.
There are situations where bankruptcy can be beneficial to you. You may end up with a zombie house depending on how old the bankruptcy is and if you get the property after the bankruptcy.
Good point.
So it depends. So it's a good side and a bad side of taking over properties that with bankruptcies involved. Because sometimes you can take them over and if the documentation gets mixed up or the bank decides they don't want it because they're not in the business of being realtors. They're in the business of collecting loans, collecting on the loans. So you may end up with the property, which we have done, where we ended up with properties that were free and clear. So that's the upside of that. Another point I wanted to make is that if you're in a situation, because a lot of people are just starting out and you may not be able to cover payments. Let's say your tenant buyer is like 3 or 4 months behind. You might not have a mortgage payment. It might get sticky. Right. The renter, the tenant buyer might not have a payment. So what you can do is assign it over to another investor before you ruin your reputation, because you do have a fiduciary responsibility to the seller to pay the mortgage payment.
That is correct.
And if you don't, word of mouth travels fast. So you don't want to ruin your reputation, and you be able to, it keeps you from being able to work your business to its fullest potential, be able to optimize your business. You will not be able to optimize your business if you have a bad reputation. So the most important thing is to make the mortgage payments. And if you cannot, that's the reason why we're establishing a network. Now we're up to probably 170 people in our network that are investors that's doing the same thing that we do. And you can contact us and let us know, I'm in trouble right now. I may need to assign this to another investor. That way you have another investor on deck. You can assign it to that person, sell the deed to that person, make some money, and pass that burden on to someone else. Because sometimes when we first start, it looks like, oh, yes, this is a blessing. And then after a while, it becomes a problem. And you can always sign it over to another investor.
Good point. Good point, Constance. That's right. So there are remedies, and it's a business. And remember, all real estate has inherent risk, even not subject to regular transactions. Where people get regular mortgage, anybody would tell you, they all have inherent risk. However, we want to mitigate and reduce our risk as much as possible. That's very good information that Constance just told you.
Right. And it's in
Zombie
your paperwork. It's in the contract. So when we get to the part of the class where we go over the contract, it's in your contract that you can assign a property to another and over to another investor. And that's a good answer when someone asks you, what happens if your company goes down? What happens if you die? What happens if this? What happens if that? What happens if something happened in the mortgage? You know, payments don't get paid because the banks close. Because we're having banks that are actually closing down that aren't even doing business anymore. That's a possibility. And then these questions are real questions that people are going to ask you. And one of the best answers is, I will sign it over to another investor that has the money.
Very good. That's a good answer.
Boom. That's a good answer. There's no reason for,
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I thought you were finished. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay, girl. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I wanted to ask, what is the purpose of a trust? Will it hide the property from the bank?
Nope.
Good question.
Nope, it won't hide the property from the bank, but you will know what the trust does. And the trust has major implications for you. It's going to help you. It's going to help you. So when we get into the trust, we start teaching about that usually in session number 6, 7, or 8. And the trust is very, very valuable. All right. So it does keep you anonymous, right? Crystal, it keeps you anonymous. All right. So people don't know that you have a bunch of properties, because when you and I know that people have jealous, envious streaks, and they might know I can fall and slip on this property and get her money and whatnot. Or you have people, that's what they do. They're called ambulance chasers. They look for people who have wealth and try to sue them because they know they have assets and value. So we teach you how to put your property in a trust, land trust, particularly correctly. So what it does, it hides the public from knowing that you own anything. This is how the wealthy and the people who have knowledge do this. This is how they walk around knowing that I'm no one can sue me because on paper I own nothing. And this is legal to do. So that's one of the benefits of the trust. Now, it doesn't hide your ownership to the bank. It hides your ownership to the public. Okay, that's what it does. Now, what the trust also does is that there's a law on the books called the Garn-St. Germain Act that was passed in 1983. And the reason why they passed that law is because people were signing deeds and their properties and even mortgages over to strangers and people, friends and families, and walking away. And what would happen is that the bank would get payments, right? But then they would find out that the person who's making the payments is not the person who signed the mortgage, and the person who signed the mortgage no longer even lives in the property. And so even though the payments were being made, the banks looked at it like this. Remember, they're in the business to make money. No skin in the game. That means they couldn't get a down payment from the person who took over. They couldn't get a higher interest rate. They couldn't check their credit. They couldn't get a fee. They couldn't get this. So they passed that to do that. But the government knew that there might be some fraud or there might be some misuse in that law. And they didn't want the banks to be able to arbitrarily do that. So the law was passed. If you transfer a deed to someone else, the Garn-St. Germain Act comes into fruition. That means the bank can, what they say is pull the loan due, call the loan due, and say, you owe us everything because you transferred the deed without our explicit permission or knowledge, right? Understand? So the Garn-St. Germain Act has certain stipulations that there are certain things that you can transfer the deed and the bank can't foreclose. One of those things, obviously, is if a husband and wife own a property jointly, and the divorce proceedings say that the husband has to sign the property over to the wife, the deed, or vice versa, right? You don't have to tell the bank this now. It can legally be done, and the bank does not have to be notified. And when the bank finds out, they say, oh, that's one of the things that we can't do. The Garn-St. Germain Act forbids us to call the loan due, even though the deed was transferred. If you happen to pass away and it goes to your heirs, the deed transfers to them. The bank can't do that. Okay. If you're a homeowner, the federal law says if you're a homeowner and you want to place your property in a trust for estate planning purposes, which means you transfer the deed to a trustee to hold it for you for the estate, the bank cannot foreclose either or call the loan due. That's another reason why we put the property in a trust, because we've had the banks knock on the door, so to speak, call us up and say, hey, Mr. Brown, or Ms. Salas, I see that you guys own this property. You're making the payments, but the deed isn't transferred. That's highly irregular. And I'm saying, yeah, but Joe Blow was missing 5 payments last month. Now you guys are getting, all your payments, and they see the deed is transferred and they look at it correctly as a business proposition, right? What's happening is that now the loan that was not performing is performing, right? So they look at another thing. So they have a legal department, and the legal department said, we got to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are dotted. So if you transfer the deed to someone, right, and you don't put it in a trust and you're making the payments, and let's say the interest rate is 3% when you got it, right? But now the interest rate is 7.5, it's not protected by a trust. Most banks and mortgage companies are going to say, well, this is an opportunity for us to make some money. I see that they're making the payments. I see that the deed has been transferred, but it's not in a trust. So the Garn-St. Germain Act does not forbid the bank on foreclosing and threatening the person who owns the property that they're going to take it unless they pay the whole thing. Because guess what the person has to do? Now the bank says, well, if you want to keep it now, since you got the deed and you didn't tell us, even though you're making the payments, right? You have to pay a down payment to us. You have to check your credit, right? We're going to raise that interest rate that you got from the former homeowner. That mortgage is no longer going to be 3.5. We're going to make it today's interest rate, 7.9 or whatever it is. That means you're going to make a higher payment. That's the only way we're going to keep it. And they'll do that knowing that you didn't properly cross your I's and dot your T's. See, the legal department does that. So the legal department called us and they didn't know it was in a trust, right? So we said, oh, can I speak to your legal department? And we faxed over. Those days were faxes. Faxed over the trust agreement. Lo and behold, 24 hours later, or same day, hey, we're so sorry, Mr. Brown. We see you have the property in the trust. You're going to make the payments, continue to do that, right? Yes, sir. Carry on. Thank you. Boom. See, as long as 2 things happen. You, number 1, are making the friggin' payments, right? Got to make the payments. And number 2, you satisfied the bank's legal department's legal requirement. It's in a trust. That means they can't foreclose because the law says you can't do it even if someone transferred the deed. So estate planning purposes, when someone puts the property in a trust, they're trying to plan their estate. So you're trying to tell me that a homeowner put the property in a land trust is not planning their estate? They are planning it because they're trying not to foreclose. They turn the property over to you to plan it correctly so foreclosure doesn't hit them and that you can make the payments. It's estate planning. And guess what? Every single time that's happened, the banks did not foreclose. 2 of them threatened and tried to do it, but they changed their mind because it was too much problem for them. Plus, the payments were being made. So the bank has to do this. They have to turn the other way, take the money. Turn the other way, take the money. Because remember, as we said earlier, the banks are in the business to get performing loans. And you took over a property that was not performing at all. And now it is performing. So you satisfied that one requirement. Then there's the legal requirement. Performing loan. Okay, let's see if they got it in a trust. It's in a trust. No, we can't foreclose. We can't pull that due on sale clause. Boom. And that stops you. Ask anybody. Now, on the internet, folks, YouTube, you'll find people say, oh, that's the problem with subject 2, because if you transfer the property with the deed, that they're going to foreclose on you when they find out you got it. The only people who are saying that are people who don't do subject 2. Everybody who's done a subject 2 transaction and puts the property in land trust will bear witness when you put it in the trust, that property will not be foreclosed. See? So those naysayers are people who just never do it. They don't know, they don't have experience. We tell you because we have experience. We tell you, once you fulfill that requirement, that's going to happen. Now, let me tell you one more thing. We'll get off this subject. If you put it in a trust, right? Satisfying the requirements that you transferred the deed and the bank finds out you transferred the deed, but it's in a trust, which kind of shields it, right? And you don't make the payments, it's going to be foreclosed on. That's why I say two things must happen. You must shield it in a trust to protect yourself because it's your property, right? Number one. And you must make the payments. So that is the benefit of a trust. I think that was your original question, right? That's one benefit, right? The other benefit is this: homeowners are in financial peril. If they're behind in mortgage payments, they're behind in credit cards, they're behind in that truck, they're behind in an SUV, they're behind maybe a plane, whatever they got. And other creditors are coming after them. That means they can attach liens to the property, right? To attach a lien to the property, they got to sue the person personally, and then it attached to any property they own. If you successfully, guys, put a property in a trust before another lien holder places it on the property, it doesn't attach to the property at all. It can't. The trust insulates it. That's right. So let's say I take a property from Joe Blow, right? He's got $400,000 property. We bring it current. We got it. We're making money. And then we got it, signed the deed. He walks away, but he still owns American Express, $5,000. He owns the car loan people, $30,000, whatever. And he couldn't pay, right? And they snatch the car and everything, and they take his stuff and whatnot. And they say, well, you still owe us, so we're going to place a lien on that property at 123 West Main Street that we know that's in your name because we see the mortgage, right? So when they go to place the lien on the property, they can't do it because now the property, guess what, is not in the homeowner's name anymore. He transferred the deed to you, Crystal, and you put it in a trust. So they cannot place it against the property. That insulates any financial problems coming from the former homeowner in the future. So that's another benefit of the trust: privacy, stopping the due on sale clause, and shielding it from other liens attaching to the property if you get it in time. I hope we discussed that. And we go into detail into this type of strategy and how to do this and how this works. So this is a skill and knowledge that you're going to be learning here, folks. I hope we answered your question. Yes. Somebody said something?
I have something to actually comment on that.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it's having the property under a trust is
Land trust, particularly. Land trust. Got to be a particular type of trust. Mhm.
oh, okay, a land trust. The property is protected, like if you have the property under a land trust, it's protected as long as you're pretty much being consistent with the payments and stuff, but it's not protected if you're not making the payments.
That's right.
So it's a yes, it's a yes and no.
It's a definite yes. That means they generally are not going to be able to foreclose or pull the loan due as long as you're making the payments. Because the thing about it, if you have it in a trust and you're not making the payments, then guess what? That's a default on the loan, whether you have it in a trust or not. So we're saying if you satisfy the ability to make the payments, which is what the homeowner couldn't do, right, and put it in the trust, you have shielded yourself from the due on sale clause and foreclosure. Absolutely. But if you just make the payments, Tila, right, and don't have it in a trust, whether you make the payments or not, that bank can still foreclose and pull the due on sale clause, even if you make the payments. So you want to make the payments and put it in a trust, because banks know, oh, you're making the payments, but I see it's not a trust. You just transferred the deed. That violates the due on sale clause. Oh, I can get a high interest rate from you. So they don't really want to foreclose, Tila, but what they'll do, they'll put pressure on you. We really don't want to foreclose, but we see you got the property in a deed, and we didn't know about it. So guess what? We'll let you keep it, right? And if you don't do what we say, you got to pay everything up front. You got about 90 days to do that $400,000. However, here's a remedy. We're going to check your credit, and we're going to raise the interest rate so that 3.5% that you got is now going to be 7.8 today's interest rate. And we want a down payment. So that's what they do. They put pressure on investors who don't do it properly. Because I know an investor who I knew back in the day when I started this in 2001. I've been doing this for 22 years. He was going around Phoenix and he was getting properties, and he was signing quick claim, having people sign quick claim deeds and warranty deeds over to him. He didn't know how to do it in the trade. He didn't even know. He'd do that, right? He'd make the payments, put people in there. The banks find out, due on sale clause, and they took all of his properties. because he didn't have it in the trust. We had it in trust. Like I tell you, the bank called, hey, that's it. See? So we hope you answer your question satisfactorily. There's benefits to putting the property in the land trust. That's why we teach it as part of this course. It's very integral, very important. We teach it and we show you how to do it. It's not terribly difficult. It's not. When you see how easy it is, when you grasp it, you're going to say, oh my God. And let me tell you what you're going to find out, folks. When you got your own personal property, let's say you have a house that you got a traditional mortgage, right? You're going to want to put that in a trust too, because it's going to protect you against other liens and creditors. Let's say you owe somebody and then I'm going to put a lien on your house. I'm going to sue you. No, if you put it in the trust, guess what? It insulates anything attaches to the house. Saves your equity. So that's a good question. Thank you, Tila. But yes, that's how that works. I hope I answered your question. I know I throw a lot in there with the answer, but I try to give you as much as possible. That's to let you know we have a lot to share with you, a lot to teach you, okay? And this is why we tell you, you don't have to have money to do subject to. You just have to have the training. You hear what I said, guys? You don't have to have cash and credit to do subject to transactions. You just have to have the knowledge and the training to do it. That's what we're here to give you. Fair enough? That's a great question.
If they ask you, if the bank calls you and asks you why did you transfer it to your company? Do you tell them that, you took over the property, or do you tell them that you're a management company, you're managing the property?
That's a very good question. That is the absolute answer, Crystal, because one of the documents that we're going to give them, like I told you, I think it was your prior question, how do you negotiate with the bank? We say we're going to have the homeowner sign an authorization that's going to be notarized, right? So this authorization we're going to share with you, Crystal, to use, and I'll show you how to do it. It's going to be called Manager of Property with Limited Power of Attorney. That's the title on it. Property manager, boom, that's your title, with limited power of attorney. That's going to give you the ability to do this. So the bank is not going to even squawk. When they see that, they like, oh yeah. Because guess what, Crystal? How many people get properties and have people manage it for them? All the time, right? You got property manager, right? So that's exactly why. And so to help, they say, just your question, why did you put it in the trust? You're just property manager, right? Why did you put it in the trust? Because the homeowner decide to do estate planning and put the property in a land trust, which is legal to do. So that's an extra step. The first step is that you got property manager with limited power of attorney, allowing you to talk to the bank, negotiate, do what you want, right? And then you put it in a land trust. That's the extra step. Okay, so they won't question. Banks have never questioned. Why did they put it in a trust? They knew, oh, they can do that legally. It's part of estate planning purposes. They will never question it. They just want to see that it's done, okay, and that you haven't been caught slipping or sleeping. That's a good question. Thank you. I hope I satisfied your question with an answer that's satisfactory.
Yes, yeah.
All right, these are good questions, guys. See, now you're bringing them out late, huh? Yeah, now you're bringing, these are good questions. Come on with it, because these are the things that are going to come up to some of the homeowners. They may ask you this. So we're trying to give you this stuff ahead of time so you know what to say. Because one thing we found out is that when homeowners ask questions, if you can confidently relay to them the answer, they're going to do the deal with you. They're going to do it. They're going to do the deal. So one thing about us, we're not just going to give you these documents and say, this document does this, that, make sure you use that, and and the next session, here's document, and then you move on. We're not going to do that. If you see, when we go old school. We go through all the documents. We go through line by line, paragraph by paragraph, which Constance doesn't like, but we do that as much as possible, right? Because we want you to understand what you have, because we know that when you understand the documentation, if perchance your homeowner asks you the question, if you can confidently relate to them, they're going to do the deal. And that's what we found out. So let's give you an example. I have a bunch of documents, and traditionally homeowners do this. The regular closing that they did before they got the property, before they turned the property from you, it was this thick. And the title company, all it did was lift it up, sign here, lift it up, sign here, lift it up, sign here, lift it up. That's all they did. But some homeowners read, and they may ask you, what does this mean? What does that mean? If they ask you a question about your contract, about the trust, about the process, and you're hemming and hawing and can't successfully, confidently relay to them that you know what you're doing, then you may not get the deal done. And we don't want none of you to be in that position, folks. We don't. We don't want none of you to be in that position. We teach it the way we do. And that's another reason why we say, look, when we do the class again, in a month and a half, 2 months, whatever, or 3 months down the road, whatever it's going to be, you're free to join in and refresh yourself to get it. We want you to be successful because we think and believe that you're going to be part of our network. So we want you to be confident. Also, that's also the benefit of joining the elite membership, because the elite membership, you're in. We do that for you. Okay, we'll show you how to talk to the bank first time so you can do this. Yeah, show you how easy it's done. We get on the phone with the bank and we just say we're your partner, and we talk, and you say, oh, it's not easy. What if you have a homeowner that you may be nervous your first time, right? And you don't want to mess up. Call us. Where is she? She's not online today, but we had another student, and she was supposed to be here today, but she's not. She called us, me and Constance, and she got the homeowner on the line. And of course, she's new, so she wasn't able to expressly relay things, and she understood that. So she calls it, can you speak? Sure, we did third party. And after we hung up, she said, oh my God, she talked to him later, and she called us back. She said, she said, the homeowner's like, he's like done deal. He said, the way you explained it, he's more confident than ever. See, and we want you to be the same way. We want you to be confident. This is a business, and we're teaching you a skill. And let me tell you, this skill can make you money, can make you wealthy. It's different than wholesaling, right? And we're not knocking wholesaling, because wholesaling, you get a contract, you sell to somebody else, you make some money. But with subject to, you create and develop assets that belong to you. You have wealth, bunch of houses that you have owned without a mortgage in your name, but you have the deed in your name. Those are assets. You own it. You have wealth. You can sell them. You can barter. If things go crazy in this country and the prices go nuts and it's a depression, you still got properties that you can bargain with for food, clothing, shelter, anything. You see, if you're a wholesaler, what? You got nothing. You got that money you spent. The dollar's worth zero now. You didn't invest in gold. And you got nothing. And I'm not knocking wholesaling. It has its place. But subject to is a beautiful strategy for people who are starting out in real estate and for investors to add this to the tool to their belt. I'm telling you, great, great tool. We love it. We advocate it. We hope you learn it well with us. Yeah. Any other questions, folks? We didn't scare you, right? Come on now. This is family. We're opening up questions. Any more questions? We got just a few more minutes. We didn't mean it to be this long, but because you asked a lot of the questions a little late in the game, which is cool. Don't worry about it. Write down questions. If anybody's in the house with you or a partner with you, if they have them ask questions. We don't mind. This is about getting it out. We want you to understand the theory, how this works. So this way, when we start the next sessions, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can move on to the contracts, the documents, and everything. And then all the things that we just talked about are going to click in. You're going to see, oh, that's how that relates to that. That's how that relates to that. That's how it relates to that. Remember, we're not going to leave you blindsided. We're going to give you the contracts, and we're going to show you how to use them, show you how to fill them out, show you how they work, the nuances to them. You're going to learn a skill. You're going to learn a skill. Guess what, folks? Every state in the union, you can do this. Hawaii, that's right. Hawaii is the 51st state. Imagine getting some properties out there, huh? People foreclose out there too. Not only that, you can get land. Did you hear what I said? L-A-N-D, land this way. Why? Because every land has a deed to it. So just because there's no house on it, don't mean you can't get it subject to. You certainly can. We got a property that was in the last go around. It was about 250, 300 miles away from Phoenix, Arizona. I forgot. I think it was Williams, Arizona. And the gentleman, I tell the story all the time because it's a great story. He kept calling me, and I'm like, oh, I got 3.5 hours away, 300 miles to drive up there. He kept calling me. He saw our website. He's like, hey, I see what you do. I'm ready to do this. Please come. And I had it listed. And he called me the next week. And I was procrastinating because I didn't want to drive up there. And we were getting properties. No problem. So he called me, said, Mr. Brown, please just come visit me. I'll make it worth your time. We went up there, drove up there, right? And he showed me the property. It was nice, trees and everything. It had a house. What's the thing? The solar on it, everything nice. And he had a camper that he just bought. And he said, Mr. Brown, I'm ready to retire. I'm driving across the country. I'm going to do my thing. He says, I can't sell this house because I owe more than what's on it. But I see you take over mortgages. I'm not even behind in payments. I'll turn this over to you. I said, yes, I understand. That's what we do. And we're very thankful for that. We're absolutely. He said, no, sir. You don't understand. He said, look around. I looked around. I said, oh, this is great. He said, yeah. He said, sir, I'm giving you 10 acres with the property. The property came with 10. I didn't know this. See, folks, you're going to get bonuses like this. You're going to get properties that may have what they call a mother-in-law house in the back, a second house, or be on 2 acres of land. You're going to get deals. You're not only going to get people who are behind in payments, you're going to get people who are current in payments who don't want to be behind, but they have to go and they can't sell. And they want you to take over. That's even better. Taking over a property that's not behind in payments. Taking over a property that's current, because you ain't got to worry. And that means when you put your tenant buy in there, all that money you get from them, if it's 5, 10, whatever it is, it's yours. Okay? Boom. So a lot of things are going to happen. Now, most people think about real estate like this. When they're going to get a piece of property, they look for junkers. They look for fixer-uppers, things that are broken down, weeds. Ooh, let me get that. Let me call the homeowner, right? With subject to, you don't have to worry about that. The majority, not all, but the majority of properties you're going to get, folks, are what we call turnkey. That means you don't have to even change the carpet. You don't have to paint the walls, nothing. They're in subdivisions. People just have problems. That means you don't have to fix anything. And then, yes, you're going to get some, oh, the roof is messed up. The roof is dilapidated. This needs fixing, needs repairs. What do you do with those? Oh, Constance will tell you, we got solutions for that. We'll show you how to get these properties into the hands of people who are do-it-yourselfers, fixer-uppers, and give them a deal. And they'll fix it up for you because you own it. And they're doing rental. Oh, my God. It's going to be a blessing to you. However, you got to learn this strategy. You got to learn this strategy. Remember, subject to doesn't cost you any money. It just needs training. You need training. You need training. You need training. And we're here to give that to you. Okay. All right. I guess, oh, how long someone, oh, Miss Paul has a question. I forgot we have a chat room here. Laughing out loud, Krista Miller. I don't know, you laughed at something we said. Okay. Get Shine Paul. How long is the process to buy the house till closing? Oh, you're going to determine, because we're going to teach you when you sign a contract with the homeowner, right? That's going to allow you to do something called due diligence, to you to check out to see if the facts are what they are. Number one thing you're going to do is call the lender to see what the deal is, because you can't rely on the homeowner to tell you the truth, because some of them simply don't know where they're at. We've had people tell us, I'm only 3 months behind. When I call the lender, it's 7 months behind. Some owners didn't know there was a balloon payment. Some owners didn't know that there was a foreclosure date. See? So we're going to teach you how to talk to the lender, right? And when you sign that contract, the contract, you're going to sign it. So it's going to give you some leeway. We're going to have you sign the contract and you're going to give yourself a 30-day closing, or maybe a 45-day or 60 days. So you have all that time to find out if what you got is what it is. You want to find out what's the truth about the mortgage, how much is behind, what the interest rate, what the person really owes. Then you're going to do marketing to see if some people want to get into this property, and they are going to want to get into the property, which gives you time to do that. So by the time you do close, right? By the time you do close, Get Shine Paul, I think that's what's on there. By the time you do close, that's what? You got a homeowner moving in, you're making money. Mm-hmm. So closing going to depend on you. And even though you put a closing date, you can close before that date. But the closing date gives you leeway to market the property, and it gives you leeway to find out if what you got. And guess what happens if you find out, oh, you know what? This is not a good deal for me. I don't want this. I'm not going to be able to afford it. No one is going to pay for it, this, that, and the other. You haven't closed yet. You only have a contract. You can back out of that contract legally. That's right. And it's not going to cost you anything, because we're going to show you how to do it where it doesn't cost you a dime. And you can legally back out and say, you know what? Like Constance will tell you, she'll explain that when her opportunity comes. We're going to introduce you to this mortgage relief program, and you got to qualify for it. So when we get to that point, she's going to be able to explain that, how that works. So yes, the process could be short. It could be long, depending on the deal that you have. Every deal is different. Let's see, any more messages in the chat? Yeah, these are great questions, guys. Great questions. I hope I answered your question. And if I didn't answer it, just make sure I know so I can do the damn thing.
What is your best way of finding a property besides PropStream?
Oh my God, we don't even need PropStream. We don't use it. However, we're not against it. Let me tell you why. PropStream and other lead sources like it, they market these leads to hundreds of thousands of investors across the country in the same state, in the same county you are. I know plenty of investors who buy from PropStream. They may get a deal or two here and there, but they tell me by and large, the deals are, people say, what are you talking about? Why am I on this list? I already sold my house. See, they're stale leads, they're padded leads, or people who are not even motivated, and you're paying money for that. Nothing wrong with that, because you may get a good deal out of there, but they have to be motivated based on your strategy. A lot of PropStream motivations are motivated sellers for wholesale, not for subject to, and some are. Nothing wrong with that, but you got to spend money. However, I'm still going to say you can use PropStream as part of your marketing, and you should if that's what you like to do. Nothing wrong with that. However, when you get a lead from PropStream, what do you have to do? You have to call the person, right? Pick up the phone, explain who you are, and sell your proposition. Nothing wrong with that, because some of us are good with talking to people face to face on the phone, selling. We're excellent with that. However, we teach you also, if you want to do that, that's fine. We're never going to knock that. That's fine. But we teach you right now, in the age that we're in, everybody who has a problem or everybody who wants something, if you want something fixed, if you want some food, if you want an electrician, if you need some help mentally, spiritually, morally, physically, if you have problems with your foreclosure, your mortgage, and you're in trouble, you don't know what to do, what's the first thing you do? Do you pick up the phone book? Because there's no more phone books. No, you pick up this device, or you go to your tablet, or you go to your desktop, and you type in keywords or phrases or searches for particular types of help. And when you do that, the search engines, Yahoo, Google, and Bing, they point the person to the most reliable source in your area. And if you're not there, your competition is there, and your competition is going to get the lead, and your competition is going to get the call. So we teach you nowadays, things are different than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? You better be online, have a website, because when people call you, they're going to want to do due diligence, like you're going to have to do due diligence on the homeowner, like see where they're at, what they owe you. They're going to check you out too. Let me see. Crystal Miller Investments. Let me see. Teeler Shop Investments. Constant. Oh, let me see. Oh, they got an LLC. They're registered here. Oh, okay. Okay. You got EIN, tax ID, legit business. And the website is explaining to the homeowner what you do. Oh, we take over, we do this, we do that, we do it. You have Q&A. What if this happens? It's all there. So by the time the homeowner does call you, because you should have a phone number on their email, right? And they call you, guess what? You don't have to do a lot of selling. You don't have to do a lot of explaining, because if you have your website constructed properly, it sells for you. That means the person who's calling you wants to call you because they're interested in what you said on the website. That means they're halfway sold already. They're already halfway sold. You don't have to cold call PropStream. No, we're not. Oh, I saw what are you calling me for? See, that's what happens. And that's what turns newbies away all the time. We've been a newbie. Call. No, your website, guess what? If someone sees your proposition on your website, like we teach you to have it, we take over, you move on, we help you, this, that, and the other, whole thing on there, right? And they don't call you, praise be to God. That means they're not the client for you, and you don't want them to call you, right? But if they do call you, what? They're interested in your proposition. They're halfway sold. Now all you got to do is fill in the blanks. Yeah. You know what most people tell us? And I ask them, so how'd you find, the website, whatever. You have any questions? No, your website explained everything. You have any questions? Yeah, how fast can we do this? That's the number one question. So if you have your website constructed properly, it answers and fulfills the question. Also, to answer your question, it's a marketing tool. So you got to put it up as soon as possible, because search engines, which is Yahoo, Google, and Bing, they index your website onto the internet. And when they index it, it should be there and be indexed and always full up there. So when people type keywords and phrases that Google's going to say, oh, let me bring it to this site in this area. That's what you want to do. And that gets you leads for guess what? Free. That's right. Free leads. That's one way we're answering your question. We're going to teach about this in the next session, which is marketing, but we're going to go over it again. No problem. The other way is that when a property is purchased in America, in any state, in any county, the deed has to be recorded along with that mortgage in what they call the county recorder of deeds or the recorder's office in your county and state. So property's there, public record. Did you know that when you're behind in your mortgage 3 months and the mortgage company notices you and say you're behind your mortgage 3 months, pre-foreclosure, you got a sale date coming, they have to make that public too? Yeah, they're going to send you a notice, but they have to send it to the county recorder's office too and make it public. That's the law. So since that's the law, guess what you can do and get free leads? You can go to your local county recorder's office and look up the mortgage defaults and see, oh, they're 3 months behind. The address is 123 West Main Street, John G. Jones. Oh, yeah. And send them a letter. See, that's more than a cold lead, because a cold lead, you don't know if the person sold the house. This one, they're definitely on the county recorder's office as being defaulted, minimum 3 months behind. They're definitely in trouble. That's a hot, if not say warm lead. So they may be warm to your proposition or not. So what do you do with that kind of lead? You make up postcards or letters and you send them your proposition with your website address on there, with your phone number, your email. And when they get it, they read it. Oh, take over my mortgage, stop my credit, fix my credit, everything. I won't foreclose. Oh, wow, they can do all that. Then they go to the website and they see it. Then they call you. Yes, that's how we get leads. Oh, social media. Everybody's on social media. Sure, not everybody's on Facebook, but some are on LinkedIn. Not everybody's on Twitter, but some are on Instagram. So what we do, we teach you when you have a website presence built on the internet, you want to be on the majority of social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of that. Right? Not personal pages. You can keep your personal pages, but you want a business page. So if your name is Crystal Miller Real Estate Investments, whatever, I'm just making up a name, right? You want to have on Facebook, Crystal Miller business page, on Twitter, business page. And it's going to say the same thing that your website says. And on those social media pages, when people get the information and read what you do, when they click it, it goes to your website and gives them the full information and vice versa. So the social media pages link to your website. Your website links to your social media pages. And guess what happens? Google, Yahoo, and Bing, they make you relevant because the more links you got like that, the more likely they're going to show you up because you're relevant to the answer that people want. These are techniques and strategies, and we teach you how to do that. So that's how we teach you to market, one of the ways. And the other ways, I don't know if they see if I have this signed in here. We're going to go over this in session number 2, folks. Bandit signs. Yeah, people, oh my God. You guys see them on the road all the time. We take over or we buy your house and all that kind of stuff, or lose weight or hypnotist and all. Yeah, they work well. They sure do.
Oh,
yeah, they work well. They work well at particular times, particular strategies, particular areas. Now, what we're saying is if you take all these marketing techniques and you put them into place, bandit signs, letters, courthouse, website, social, you're going to get hits after a while. It's going to happen. All right. So we're going to teach you about that, marketing, motivated sellers, how to find them and how to get them to call you in the next session, number 2. Okay. Good question, though.
You can also utilize real estate agents.
Oh, yes. Yes. Absolutely. So Decker is right. We teach you how to build a team because real estate agents are indispensable. They know people who are in foreclosure. Mortgage brokers know people who are in foreclosure. Because you know what people do when they're in foreclosure? Naturally, you go back to the person who sold you the house. Oh, I'm in trouble now. Can they help me? Say, oh, you're behind. Realtor knows it, right? That's the lead, right, Decker?
That's right.
Mortgage broker gave you the loan. People naturally go to the people who helped them. And hey, can you help me? And they got leads. So you want to align yourself and have team members. You don't necessarily have to pay them nothing up front. You can promise them something when the deal happens. You want to get a mortgage loan officer, a real estate agent, a title company. You want these people in your team and you talk to them and say, this is what I do. I'm an investor. I get these properties If I need your help, we can do this. We can make money. They'll be happy because they know your business complements their business. So Decker is right. That's another way. Absolutely. But again, we're saying if you encompass all these strategies together, you're going to be successful. You're going to get leads. It's going to happen. We're not against PropStream, but we never buy leads from them. But you can. Some people are real good at it. And some people know how to get the good stuff. But you have to pick through that stuff. You know, remember, their job, PropStream, exists by selling leads, and they pad leads. I can tell you. People call me. Hey, motherfucker, that thing was never for sale. Where'd you get this information? You know what I'm saying? I've been in rentals when they call it. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's not even for sale. What? See, I know they pad the leads, and you're paying for that, folks. You're paying for that. Not knocking it, because there will be some gems in there. All right. But that's how we teach.
There's another awesome way, before we get off that subject, there's another awesome way that everybody can utilize is that's going on Instagram and seeing people who has more followers, let's say 89,000 followers or 89.7 followers, and you can actually contact them and ask, can they promote your page on their page? So like they're saying, okay, well, we would like to just get in agreement with them. Say, listen, I know you got this much followers. I buy houses. I save people from foreclosure, or like myself, I do credit. I fix people's credit, and I wholesale too. So I would go on, let's say a rapper or some type of like Master P helped me out one time, and I got a lot of people that came into getting their credit repaired. I asked him. Now he charged me. It was $1,000 for me to do it, but I got back that money and plus more. You know, just by him advertising my company on his page.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very good. Very good. That's a very good point. You're right. Again, Decker, what's that? You use the social media to its full advantage, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. And we tell people, and social media is free. Anybody pay for Instagram? Anybody pay for Facebook? Anybody pay for Twitter? It's free. While it's free, go get it. Use it to advantage. People are on there. They just got to see what you do.
That's right.
Good point, Decker. Good point.
Yeah. It's free. It's free, but if you want to advertise on it, you can pay something. Like on Facebook, they offer you to pay something to get your business up front. So I think like $20 or $50 or something like that. But otherwise, it's free.
That's right. It's called organic. You can do the organic search or organic marketing. And they got hip to it because when we do this organic, boy, we used to get leads like crazy. So the social media business got hip to that, and they can fudge what people see. And they say, hey, you know, if you want to get it, you got to pay it. And they'll do it. Then you can be, you're right, Decker. But they do that now. Before it used to work like a charm without paying. But you're right. Great point, sir. Thank you for that. Yeah. So these are the many ways, folks. These are the many ways. So don't sleep on the internet. Don't sleep on social media. Don't sleep on your website. Remember, your website got to represent who you are. If you are trying to do this, and because I have a student who's a very good student, excellent dude, sent out hundreds of letters, hundreds. But guess what? He didn't have a website on his letter. And I'm sure people read that. And when they tried to find him, they didn't see any, you know, they didn't see anything. So he didn't get any leads. He said, why am I getting? I said, well, because, you know, you have a phone number, email that people want to see who you are. They want to do, they don't know you. They don't know you. And you want them to give you a house with keys. They're going to have to see something that makes them feel comfortable that you're legitimately in business. You have to be online, folks.
Right.
You should be.
And I also want to let everybody know you can utilize the post office, everybody on this live. It's called Every Door Direct. And you can actually utilize the post office to send out your mailing instead of you going out in all that hot sun or you something like that. Just make your postings from a printing company and then have the post office, the mailman, send your letters out for you. It's called Every Door Direct. Look it up. Every Door Direct with the post office.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. We teach about that too in session number 2. You go to USPS.com. They have about 6 companies or third party that will do your mailings for you. You just upload your names and addresses. They'll lick a stamp. They'll send it out. You don't have to leave the house. Remember how we used to have to lick them stamps, go buy the stamp, lick the envelope. You don't have to do all that. You upload your letter that you get from the county recorder's office. Put it in there. Put your proposition in there. Add the address. Hit send. Send 100 letters. That's all she wrote. Very good, Decker. We appreciate that. Good point.
Mr. Eric, so if you don't got a website, it's more than likely nobody won't really mess with you because you're not like you're not presenting yourself like professional wise, right?
It's highly probable that they will not, because everyone does by what they see apparent looks. Everyone does that. Plus, if you have a website and you have a name of your business, right? The name of your business hopefully is an LLC. That's public record. So they can take the name and type it in the county recorder's office and see that you legitimately have an LLC. It makes them confident. See, you got to remember, you're absolutely correct, Tila. People want to give you the keys. They want to give you the deed. Now, back in the day when I first started in 2001, you could have a wife beater on and a pair of jeans with a clipboard, right? And a pen. And you knock on people's door. It was so new, they'd give you the house. But nowadays, people, due diligence. They want to see what's up. A lot of scammers are out there. A lot of things are out there. So you're right. They want to have some level of comfortability and accountability that the person they're talking to can do what they're saying. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to do what they say, because you could be a scammer. You could be no good. However, what it looks like is what's going to make people comfortable on the outset. So that's very, very important. Nowadays, what business do you know, guys? Can you tell me any business that doesn't have a website up or a web presence? Name one. I'm waiting. Name one. Name one. Huh?
No.
No.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. But I will say this, to what she just said about website, because when I started back in 2007 with my business, I didn't have any website, but I was getting leads. How I was getting leads? Well, people was contacting me. I was doing word of mouth, friends, and either police officers or fire engines or, some type of city officials. They would contact me, say, hey, we're looking at a house to sell. And I was buying houses cash, which I still do today, and also wholesale, and I didn't have a website. So they asked, do you have a website? I'll let them know. Well, at this moment, I don't. My IT is preparing the website. We are developing, upgrading the website, but pretty soon our website will be up. And I just give it some type of credibility. Yes, we will have a website up, but right now our IT is fixing it up, and we're upgrading a new version of our website, but we still can help. So that's one way you can get around to people to work with you, even if you don't have a website.
That's right. And you're absolutely right. That's why I said, when I say back in the day, 2001, 2002, all the way till 2008, because that's when I put my first website up. And you're right. I was doing what you were doing, Decker, with no website, because back then it wasn't the thing. You didn't need a website. You didn't need a website. Now you got to have, see, they make it social media and internet presence critical for your business. So people expect it now. So when you give them a card, they're going to look you up. We have access. Everybody got internet. Everybody got it. They're going to look you up. So you're right, Decker. Back then, you're absolutely right. We were doing it hand and foot, no problem. But nowadays, can you do that?
No, can't do that. Yeah. If you don't have a website, you're robbing yourself. You're robbing yourself, because you're not gonna. There's no way that you can make your full potential and optimize your total resources and hit the total profit margin for this business. Because if you have an internet website and you're international, you'd be surprised who own business. Chinese people own businesses and they own properties in America. You can do subject to on a commercial property, a shopping mall. There's so many things you could do. Multifamily homes, multifamily projects. It's a lot of things that you can do. And if you're not online, you're just really cheating yourself. If you don't have a website, that's not doing smart business. Nowadays, in order to optimize your business and make as much money as possible, right? Because that's why we're doing this, it's for profit. You got to have a website. You must have a website. You must be on as many social media websites and links, and you need to be everywhere. You need to be out there, and you need to be reachable, and you need to have your SEO and your digital strategy complete too, with the right words. You got to put in the right words. It's just like you got to ask the right question to get the right answer. So you got to have the right wording in there so that your website hits and people are like, okay, boom, there it is. Because you got to hit that algorithm. No matter what you do, as far as your IT goes, if you don't have your SEO on point,
optimization,
so to speak, yeah, your search engine optimization on point, no one's going to know where you're at. You'll be at the bottom of Google. You have to do some organic trickery and technology in order to get to the top, so that you're at the top of the list on Google. So you're at least on the first, the second, or the third page.
Or somewhere to
This
be
is
found.
not right. This is not checkers. This ain't even chess. This is like battleship.
Yeah, good point.
This
Good
is
point.
high
'Cause
tech. So
that's
I
right.
agree with you that you need a
yeah,
web. I agree with you. You need a website. Excuse me, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I do agree. Yes, you need a website. But when a beginner, a novice is just beginning, you don't really need one right off the bat. If you know a lot of people, if you know church members or pastors, whoever,
Oh,
whoever
they have confidence
work
in
for,
you. Yeah,
yeah, you know, word of mouth is the best
right.
it's the best advertising. Word of mouth. Trust me, word of mouth. I mean,
that
Word
is
of
no,
mouth
true.
is good, but if you want to meet your full potential and you want to be, you want your business to be visible worldwide, you need to be on the internet. And the
True.
easiest way to do it is to have a page on Facebook. Building a Facebook page is free, and it's only going to take like probably less than a half an hour. Post a picture, what you do and what you're about, and put the name of your business on there, and that could be your first landing page. Can be right on Facebook, and that way, if somebody asks you, do you have a website? You can just give them the address, the URL to your Facebook page.
That's right. So
But
I
it's
want to
no
make a
excuse for
comment.
not having a
Both
web
of you,
page.
everybody's right here. Everybody's right because Dexter is saying, friends and family, they're confident, know what you do. Yeah, that's
Right.
absolutely true. However, I'm going to tell you, and what he's saying is correct because friends and family, they have confidence. Oh, that's what you do. Oh, no problem. You don't need a website. However, with subject to the majority, in our experience, of people that we're going to be dealing with are strangers. So, if I'm in foreclosure, right, and someone approaches me with this proposition, and I just give them a business card, and they look me up, they don't find anything, but they understand and they hear what I say, they like it, and then another person comes with a business card with their website on it, and they look me up and they see that. Who is most likely going to incline to get the business? The person who's registered with the state LLC, the person that has a website that's already explaining what to do, is most likely strangers. See, most of the houses that we got, 99% were from people we never knew ever. They didn't know us. We didn't know them. Okay. So we had to have something that built some kind of affinity. And that was a website with transparency, with legitimacy, registered with the LLC, info.email address, not Gmail, a phone number that they could call. So both are right, depending on the circle that we're trying to reach. Of course, we're trying to reach friends and families. You got a big network like I know Decker has, of course. Absolutely, it's going to go a long way. Absolutely, it's going to happen because we've done it, and he's right. If you're a newbie, you maybe not can afford that. However, we can do it for you affordable. We don't see, you can go to Wix, get the free website, whatever, this, that, and the other. They come with caveats. They're going to put marketing. They're going to put advertising on your website that might be your competition. They're going to own your stuff, even your domain name, so you don't own nothing. But if you want to get one built independently, you either have to have the knowledge to do it or someone to do it. They're going to charge you thousands. Now, we have a program. We can build one for you if you want. But the bottom line is, whether we do it or someone else does it, it's a good idea to be known and have a site where people can. Now, let me Google this. Let me Google this. See what's up. It's just what it is. But I'm not knocking what Dexter says because it goes a long way. Because in addition to your website, you got to be social with your friends and your family and your people. And they got to be confident. You got to be outgoing. Oh, he's in business, what he does. And you will get referrals. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. However, I want to say, man, you got to have social media presence nowadays, buddy.
yeah, that's true too. Also, you can also get your family and friends and let them know. Say, listen, if you refer a house to me or something, somebody in foreclosure, and I'll refer to me, and once I close on it, I'll pay you $500. It's like a referral fee.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Believe
That's worth
me,
making because you're going to make thousands.
I got you, buddy, man. I know 4 or 5 people right now that's in foreclosure, 9 people that need to sell their house. Believe me, because when you tell them I'm paying you $500 when I close,
that's right. But when they do refer you, those people might want to look you up.
Do that, yeah.
Say, oh yeah, you got the referral, but let me see who this. Wait, I can't even see. He online? Where he at?
Yeah.
You got a number? Is he registered? But yeah, I can dig it. You're right. And that goes a long way with your marketing and referrals.
That's
very, very
That's
important.
right.
What he's saying here. Referrals. Very important. Yes, yes.
That's
I
correct.
definitely agree with Constance because we live in a modern world where people it's someone's home, you know, and they're going through a rough time. So they want to be secure because they're already in a situation of not being secure. So, you know, having a website makes you look very professional and it makes you look trustworthy because I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to give my home to somebody that don't even got anything I can look up about them online. That's not that's not cool. So I understand you can do it, you know, without having a website and stuff. But today, I mean, we're like 20 years deep into social media where everything is getting connected strictly through social media. So yeah.
And also, while we're on that point, good point, Tila, is that not only can you be seen and be, give some level of legitimacy and confidence, guess what? The search engines, keywords and phrases, when you type in, they're gonna send it to the best website that has the best relevant answer in that area. And if you're the one, you're gonna get it. You're gonna beat your competition. So if someone is searching and don't know you, see, there's people who don't know you, but I'm looking for an answer. Help me with my foreclosure process. When they type that up, websites are gonna pop up. And if it ain't yours, it's the person who got it, and they're gonna get that lead. They're gonna get that lead. They're gonna get that lead where you normally might not get. So it works hand in hand. All these things encompassing, putting it together is gonna make it happen for you.
What about marketing to people to investing in your deals, private money lenders?
Private money lenders. You can do that. Private money lenders usually come with a very high interest rate. Very, very high. Now, when you do private money, that's usually for short term because the interest rate is so high and the terms are so hard. That's something you got to flip. Like wholesalers, they do private money lenders all the time because hey, I'm hold this thing for a couple months. It's gone. I ain't got to worry about the interest and paying those long. See, that's good. With subject to, you're generally holding the property, for a long period of time because you're making a lot of money. If you hold the property 3 to 5 to 7 years, you're making 20, 30,000 over the life of that term. Okay. And then if you have a private money lender that you're paying back with that interest, it can negate the money that you're making. However, there's nothing against it. It has its place. It has its place. Private money lending is usually for a temporary source of, okay, I got to give this seller, he wants 10,000 for this mansion. And you're like, it's intelligent to give him 10,000 with it so we can move on and get the deed. Then you get the private money, make it happen, make your money. So it has its place, nothing wrong with that. But a lot of private money lenders have caveats. It depends on who they are. Just like everything, there's scammy private money lenders and there's legitimate ones. Some of them will put you in a contract, and if you default, guess what? That house is yours under something that you're like, what? Like that? Yep, you got to be careful. And the interest rates are extremely high. Nothing wrong with that. We don't use private money lenders ever. The private money we use would have to be a private person. That's the kind of private money lender, not an institution. Because we got people, hey, doctor, hey, what doctor? I got this 401k. I'm only getting 2% in. You already real estate? Yeah, man, do this. What? I just need like $10,000 to get this person out of foreclosure, and I'll put you in a deal. I'll pay you back at your rate, whatever. Boom. I don't have to worry about that. It's a personal transaction between me and that person, and it works out good. That's the kind of private money we like. Now I've been to private money lenders. I've been to them, and usually you got to put some skin in the game. When I went to get at this time, I was doing wholesaling, and I was also doing short sales. And I had to convince Chase that, hey, I'm good for this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. I had to go to private money lender to give me some money and to show that I had a letter of credit that I was good for this. And so to do that, the private money lender wanted me to come up with 2,500 at that time or 3,000 to get the money. So you got to give them some money to get the money. However, some of them will use your house as collateral as well. So there's different caveats. But look into that, and you want to look into that on your own personal time, and you can confer with us if you need some help with that. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but again, What you're doing is what we don't advocate. So if you're doing private money lending, that means you're putting your name on the line, right? You're subject to that loan. You're getting a loan. You're getting in debt. But subject to the way we teach it, you don't get no debt. Nobody's coming after you for nothing because you didn't put your name on the line. You didn't put your signature on the line. If you default, guess what? It's not against you. But nothing wrong with that. Okay? Nothing wrong with that. All right? But just some things to think about. Okay? Because again, you know, you can get a private money lender to come up with those back payments, but a high interest rate, is that going to cancel out the money you make on that property? You got to see if it makes sense, right? You got to see if it makes sense. And how long is that term going to be for that private money lender? And again, the interest rates are astronomical because they made for short term. But good point. These are good points and good questions. We love these questions. We love these points. Is subject to for only those falling behind? Absolutely not. As you said before, we've had people turn over properties who were never behind in payments. They just didn't want to fall behind, but they had to leave and they couldn't sell the property because it wasn't sellable at the time. Upside down, they had to come to the table with money, this, that, and the other closing, and they didn't want to fall behind. We took over plenty of properties that were never behind in payments, and people will do that. You're like, why would somebody do it? Because they don't want their credit to go bad. And they see the handwriting on the wall. So to answer your question, yes, ma'am. It's subject to only for those falling behind? No, ma'am. Subject to is for anybody who's motivated to turn the property over to you, whether they're behind or not. And I love the ones that are not behind. Yes, ma'am. Go right
I
ahead.
like to piggyback off of that one too. Sometimes you'll get a house, like we had a person that kept calling saying they lived in a haunted house. And one time I was gonna say something about it and tell him not to call anymore, but someone else told me to listen to him. Anyway, we ended up taking over that property. So you never know who's gonna call you on the phone. We got one little boy on the phone. He was I think he was like 19 years old. And his grandmother left him a house and he really didn't want it. And so him and his brothers were standing outside the house, and one of us looked us up on the phone and called us up. And I was like, how fast can you get this done? I don't want this property. I don't want it. Take it. So you never know what you'll end up with, what type of deal you'll end up with. But no, all of them won't be behind. Some of them will be paid in advance. We had one lady, she paid 6 months in advance.
She sure
She
did.
paid her
To
mortgage
take the
for
house.
6 months to take her house. So you never know. And then there's a lot of different strategies that you can use for the back payments to pay the back payments off. We even have, like, because I have a mortgage relief program. So the way that I present it, they have to qualify for my program. And some of them, they have to sign a promissory note saying that they're going to pay these back payments over a course of months. They can even say they'll pay it back over 2 years. That way, if I got to come out of my own pocket and pay their back payments, they're going to pay me back. I'm going to get that money back.
Very, very good point. She's
So we
absolutely
teach you
right.
several different strategies to pay the back payments. So
That's
you
right.
may not need a private investor after you get done taking the course. This is just the first day. So we'll teach you a lot of things that you didn't know about subject to.
We'll teach you that people have given us money to take the house. Yes. They give us the house and the keys.
Yep.
They give us cash to take it too. And also, they give us cash unwillingly. Like part of the deal is we can't do this until you pay us. We'll do a promissory note. Can you pay us back some of these back payments we're going to make? Whether we got a modification or a private investor or the tenant buyer to make the payments or not. That's irrelevant. We don't tell them that. We just let them know we're doing what we said we're going to do. We're going to stop your foreclosure. We're going to take care of these payments. Anyway, you can pay us back. And we're not going to make it crazy. Oh, I can't make no monthly payments because I would have done it before. No, we're not asking for that. Can you pay $100 a month? Oh, I can do that. On a promissory note for 36 months, for 2 years, 5 years, you're getting cash from them, and we've done it, while we're getting cash from the tenant buyer, while you got the house. I'm telling you, there's so many ways you can make money with subject to. So many ways. Very creative.
So basically you're telling them that we could take over your payments and we could catch up your back payments, and you would pay us whatever you can to catch up the payments.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So
Right,
that means you're getting cash flow 2 ways, Crystal.
Right.
The homeowner and the tenant buyer. Mhm.
Right, because you present it as the mortgage relief program. So it's a program that they have to qualify for. So if you present
And
your
that's part of the
company
qualification.
as a mortgage relief program, in order for them to qualify for this debt relief, there's certain things that they're gonna have to follow, certain protocols that they're gonna have to follow in order to qualify. And we'll explain that more deeper into the class, the course session.
Yep.
That also could be a deal breaker if I'm not mistaken. If you will have the seller to pay you back what they owed, because they could probably say, you know what, I'm not giving you a damn cent. I'm gonna go to somebody
Yeah,
else.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what,
well,
like,
we wouldn't
what if they say
present it
that?
like that. We wouldn't present it like that. And then remember, when you do a subject to transaction, you decide if you're going to take the deal. So we've
Right.
told people no, we can't take it.
Yeah,
If
that's
that
There's
was
true.
a
people
deal
that have
breaker,
said,
they
"Oh,
couldn't
I
pay us
can't
back.
You know how
afford it,"
some people
but
are.
I ask anyway.
So what
Yep,
we're
there's
saying,
people that's told me like I can't afford it, but I ask anyway. And then if they can't afford
that's the
it and
point.
they qualify for the program, then I'm gonna get paid from them.
That's
And
what
then
she's
I'm gonna
saying.
get paid.
So
I'm gonna
we
get
don't
paid
kill
from
the
the
deal.
option agreement, and
Right.
I'm gonna get paid every month. And then I'm gonna get paid when the house gets sold. I'm gonna keep on getting paid. But however,
Right.
I asked them, can they afford? Because I presented as a mortgage relief program,
Right.
and there's certain different qualifications for each program. So for one program, you got to make some back payments. Other programs, I'm gonna ask what's in their house, but we'll get into that later.
So
But
she's
some
absolutely
people
right.
don't sit
So
there.
when we present this to
Some
the
people-
homeowner, right? If they say they can't do it, we may still take the deal. We just put it in there to see if we can get some more cash flow. If it gets more cash flow, it's part of the deal. Because we've had people who told us,
Right.
there's no way I can do it. I said, oh, don't worry about it. Once we ascertain that they really can't do it and the deal makes sense to us to take, we'll still take the deal. What we're saying is that there's ways to get money in a subject to transaction. Okay, that's all we're saying. And if it presents itself,
And property too, because there's another program. Yeah, the second tier to that program is, do they have anything that they would like to put toward, their back payments? And they have things in their house. They have stoves, refrigerators, big screen TVs, car, whatever it is that they got, then, we set up a bill of sale for that.
yeah, we've had people who given us every lick of furniture in the house, brand new TVs, washer, dryers, what are those wood grain dark for everything, nice stuff as part of, okay, here, I can give you this. So that's value too. So what we're saying is you'll see in some of these subject to transactions, people will give you concessions and pay you to take the deal because other people won't do it. They tell me, I went to this event. He said he didn't want it, room for it. I can't do nothing. You're going to do this? Yeah, I'll do it if you can do this. So we're saying it's not necessarily going to kill the deal. And if it looks like it's going to kill the deal, but you can still do the deal, then you say, I'll tell you what, I talked to my manager. He says, that's all right. Don't worry about it. Boom. But if it worked out, guess what? Now you got extra cash flow. That's what constitutes.
Yep. There's just little different caveats that's in there when you present it in that particular manner, because you got to remember your target market isn't someone that could really afford their payments. Your target market is somebody that's not paying attention to their mortgage letters. They got about a month left to go and they don't know what to do.
They're between a rock and a hard place.
So they're distraught and they're desperate. So you gotta, see what you can get out the deal and make it happen.
Because if you didn't step in and help them, because we constantly we ask people, have you talked to a mortgage company? Have you done this? And we go through this and they say we did all that. That means no other option they have except what? Foreclosure or us. And we're not forcing
They
ourselves.
exhausted all their options.
We're not forcing ourselves because you found us through the website. We didn't call you. We didn't do cold calling and knocked on you and said this. No, you called us because you saw our proposition and we're saying this is what we do. We can help you if we do this. And almost everyone, I have never had a homeowner say, nah, I'll just foreclose and walk away voluntarily. Never, never. Because they say, you know what? In their mind, they're like, you know what? Despite what you're saying, I'd rather give you a chance, your company, you take it, and the payments are being made, than I knowingly foreclose and keep this $300,000 on my thing for 7 to 10 years. Who would do that? Like if it was me, if I had no option, I'd be like, shoot, I'll take a chance with you because if I walk away, it's gonna happen. See? We're not taking advantage. We're presenting another option that didn't exist before. That's what we're doing. And we teach you to present yourself as a service to people, right? And nothing wrong coming in hand with a check or some cash for your property in subject to, because a lot of people do that, but we don't. We don't give them no money and no cash for it. Now, again, we want to say, if you do come across a nice property, it makes sense to give them some money for it because you're going to make buku off it. It's going to be great. Then by all means do that. But we're going to show you how to do it with less money out of your pocket or none at all. If you present yourself as a service to the homeowner. See, we don't say we're buying your house, we're buying your people, they hear that all the time. They get turned up. They're buying. No, we ain't buying nothing. We're helping you.
We don't even use the word
We go to
buy.
people, we go to their house and they see us, and we're African Americans, Hispanic, or Jamaican, whatever the case may be. We're of the non-Caucasian persuasion, right? And we go to people and they, oh my God, I know what they're saying. And we're not racial or anything, but I know what the kind of, by the time we sit down in the living room and talk to them, when we leave the house, they're hugging us. Thank you, God sent you. You're like, because they see the deal. Oh my God, this saved me. You see? Because when they listen to you, and they realize, oh, this is going to help. This is going to save me. All right. This is going to save me. So it's getting to that point, folks. The crescendo is coming across the country. This is not a new go round for us. This is going to be the third crash that we're in. We've been in the 2001.com. We was in the 2008 to 2000. We was in that one. And this one is going to be the mother of all. And let me tell you how it goes in stages. And when it goes, it's going to be lights out. Everybody is going to be looking for some help who can't make the payment, because number one, the difference between now and back then, when you foreclose on $100,000 debt, maybe 200,000. Now you're foreclosing on a 300,000, 400,000, some even higher in some places. So that's a higher debt that people are contemplating. And if you successfully can mitigate that loss for them, they're going to be grateful. And then we talked about it in the last class that you guys are not privy to, is that you have another group of homeowners. These people are called strategic defaulters, buy and bail. They purposely, let me tell you, purposely are foreclosing on the old house to get into a house with a better rate, a lower payment and everything, and let that ride. Some of them, when they see your website, they say, what? I was going to foreclose and take the lick for 7 years. I ain't got to do that now. Call them. Yes, they love you. They love you. They love you. That's a different kind of homeowner. And they're motivated too. They're never behind in payments because that's how they got the new house they're about to get. They have to make sure the payments are current, but they're about to let it go. Once they sign the deal, get the new house at a lower rate, $2,000 less a month, lower interest, whatever they got the deal on, they're ready to let that one go. Okay, they'll give it to you as long as you know how to cash flow it. Now, if it doesn't make sense to you, we tell you, you don't take everything. Somebody say, here's the keys, don't mean I got it. No, you got to make sure it makes sense. What if you get a house that the rent range is not right? That means if the mortgage is, let's say, $22,000 a month, right? In that area, the rentals are $1,500 a month. You're not gonna make no money. It doesn't make sense. So we teach you, part of the formula is you have to be able to know what you can rent to own that house for in that neighborhood. If you can make a minimum, folks, of $300 a month, then it's a deal. And you should be able to make 3 to 5 to 7 if you do it right. Okay. But if you don't make any money with that mortgage, it's a losing proposition. What about homeowners associations? We've had some we took over $35 a month, but we had some that $250 a month. That wipes away profit. So it's a lot of things that you got to look at, and we'll teach you to look at these things, and these things you got to look at. So the bottom line I'm saying is that when you talk to a homeowner, you, the investor, are going to make the decision whether this is a deal for you or not. Just because they give you the keys and the deed, as me and Constance found out, don't mean it's a good deal. Okay. Don't mean it's a good deal. All right. But these are great questions, guys. We appreciate that. We appreciate you too, Decker, for coming in with your experience. Absolutely, brother. You're indispensable. And we appreciate your questions, Tila. And you too, Crystal. And you too, Get Shine, Paul, even though you did it on the chat, that's fine. We appreciate everyone who hung in because it is late and we appreciate this. This is going to be made available to you tomorrow, Sunday, or Monday, if we don't get it to you Sunday, in your email, so that way you can review it and go over some things and whatnot. So we're always going to do that. We appreciate your time. So we're going to ask you one last time, if there's any questions, we can answer them now. Anything. Last call. Here we go. If not, all right. Good night, folks. We'll see you next time.